This podcast of the Equine Forum is brought to you by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program at the College of Business. It all begins in 15 seconds right after this word from our podcast sponsor.
The University of Louisville Equine Industry Program at the College of Business is now offering a graduate certificate, which can be completed in 15 or 30 weeks and be done as a standalone or used as 20% of your MBA. Classes at both the undergraduate and graduate level are forming now for August.
From the rail to your radio, this is the Horse Racing Radio Network.
And it's Grace Adler drawing clear in the lane. Dance to the music a second, but it's Grace Adler out here moving like a winner. Grace Adler, a scintillating performance in the TBG Del Mar debutante.
With 1 furlong left to go, Field Pass trying hard on the inside. Ramsey Solution trying to hold. Ramsey Solution ahead in front. Here's Field Pass down to the inside. Field Pass surging. Ramsey Solution up and down. Field Pass. Field Pass from Ramsey Solution. Photo finish at the BWI International Turf Cup.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
And it's Smart Remark and Totally Boss. On the outside, Leinster has moved up past Stormy Liberal, and just in behind them is Imprimus. Ortiz will have to weave some magic. He's blocked at the 16th, and Totally Boss skips clear from Smart Remark. Then Imprimus getting through late, but Totally Boss wins, coming away almost 2 lengths.
Here's Red Knight, Zulu Alpha on the outside, and Arklow down toward the rail. The three of them are right together as they come into the final furlong. Arklow, Red Knight, Zulu Alpha, third it's Arklow. Arklow's got it close to home from Red Knight. Arklow and Florent Giroux have won.
Now here's Mike Penna.
Good morning once again, everyone. It is post time for the show that launched a network, the Equine Forum, all presented by TwinSpires right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, very happy to have you along for the ride for the next 3 hours, right up until 11 a.m. Eastern on Sirius 216, XM 204, affiliates in Lexington, Louisville, and across the country, and yes, streaming worldwide and podcast on our website, horseracingradio.net, also available on every major podcast platform. Wherever you access your podcast, you can listen to this program and all of our shows after we are finished here this morning. Head back over and take a listen on your favorite podcast website. Well, the Breeders' Cup's edging ever closer. It returns to Keeneland in November. We are 55 days, 4 hours, 26 minutes, and now just 15 seconds away from the Breeders' Cup. And, of course, we will be there. Very proud to say that for the 16th consecutive year, the Horse Racing Radio Network will provide exclusive radio coverage of the Breeders' Cup worldwide. Last year, listeners in more than 50 countries joined us for our coverage, and we look forward to bringing you that coverage again later in the season. Did we see the Breeders' Cup Classic winner last weekend? Well, most of you are going to answer that question with an emphatic yes, maybe even a hell yes, Baron. But as nice as that winning effort was, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Let me get to Flightline here in a minute. But as nice as the winning effort was in the Jockey Club Gold Cup by Olympiad, I'm going to assume that if you answer yes to that question, you're not referring to Olympiad. I'm sure most of you are going to agree that Flightline's performance in the Pacific Classic will go down as one of the greatest individual efforts in the history of that race, or any other race for that matter. It is right up there with the best that we've ever seen. There are freakish efforts in racing that happen from time to time. Things that really just blow your mind. I think back to Borrego. Remember Borrego? It was the Jockey Club Gold Cup, if I'm not mistaken. And go back and watch the replay of that race at some point. That was freakish. Beholder, her performance in the Pacific Classic. Freakish. Heck, you can go back to Zenyatta, too. Even Zenyatta, with her performance in winning the Breeders' Cup Classic. Freakish. Well, Flightline appears to be head and shoulders above any horse currently in training. Certainly here in North America. Some people questioned whether he would be as brilliant at 1.25 miles and going around 2 turns for the first time. Well, he put those concerns to rest with a 19.25 length tour de force, which could have been an even greater margin if he hadn't been geared down coming to the wire. Think about that. And does anyone really think that he couldn't have demolished the stakes record if Flavien Prat hadn't been so conscious of making sure he had plenty left in the tank for his next engagement. His final time of 159.28 was not far off Candy Ride's stakes record of 159.11. Pretty close. That was set in 2003, and that was even as Flightline was being geared down in deep stretch. With all of that said, horses are not machines. And the only sure thing in racing is that there is no sure thing. But no horse in training right now appears to be anywhere close to being in the same league as Flightline. He is playing a different game than everyone else. He is what Tiger Woods was in his prime to the rest of the field. You remember all the prop bets that used to be out there? You can, in a PGA golf tournament, with the best golfers in the world, you could bet Tiger Woods or you could take everybody else. He was that dominant at that time. Flightline right now is Tiger Woods in his prime, and nobody right now is even close. So yes, there are no sure things in racing. But for anyone who has watched his 5 career victories, you would have to say Flightline is about as close as it gets if he makes it to the Breeders' Cup Classic on November 5th. I'm going to talk with Jane Lyon coming up at 8:35 Eastern. Jane, the breeder of Flightline with her Summer Wind Farm. She is also part owner in this very talented racehorse. She had the half-brother by Curlin scheduled to be sold at the Keeneland September sale this coming week. Withdrew him after that monster effort by Flightline in the Pacific Classic. Just couldn't part with him. We're going to talk to her about that. We'll talk to her about all of the success that Jane has had in the game over the years. There is more than just Flightline, and we'll get into all of that coming up at 8:35 Eastern. Just about 2.5 hours south of Keeneland this afternoon at Kentucky Downs, where, by the way, they announced a special early post time today, 11:30 a.m. Central, so 12:30 Eastern, a special early post time at Kentucky Downs. 2 more Breeders' Cup contenders are going to punch their ticket with automatic bids to the Breeders' Cup Turf and the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. And there are a couple of very intriguing storylines in each of those Win in Your In races. In the open of today's show, you heard the calls of Totally Boss winning the Turf Sprint at Kentucky Downs in 2019 and Arklow winning the Kentucky Turf Cup in 2020. That's his second win in that race, by the way, after he took top prize in 2018. Both of those horses return in this year's renewals of those respective races. At 9 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to be joined by trainer Rusty Arnold to talk about the improbable comeback story associated with 7-year-old gelding Totally Boss, who was retired midway through his 2021 campaign following a disappointing 7th-place finish in the mighty Bow Stakes at Churchill Downs. That was in June of 2021. He was apparently retired to the farm of his owners, Susan and Jim Hill, but when they noticed him starting to run around and play and feel good again, they decided to put him back into training. Well, today he can earn his way back to the Breeders' Cup, and what a story that would be. Really cool story surrounding Totally Boss. I think it's equally as cool of a story with 8-year-old Arklow, but a different type of story. He wasn't retired. They didn't bring him back. But last year, he came within a neck of winning his 3rd Kentucky Turf Cup. Today, he makes his 5th consecutive appearance in that race. 5th consecutive. He was 1st in 2018, 2nd in 2019, 1st in 2020, runner-up last year. So if the pattern holds true, he wins it this year. And if Arklow wins this race again today, they should automatically rename this race in his honor. It should be called the Arklow going forward. Not only does he make a 5th consecutive start in this race, but he's still at the top of his game, which is a huge credit to trainer Brad Cox and his team to keep this horse competing at the highest levels, even here at the age of 8. He is second choice on the morning line behind Grade 1 winner Gufo. That should be one heck of a showdown later today. Post time for the Turf Sprint is 5:10 Eastern. with the Kentucky Turf Cup following, set to go right around 5:45 Eastern Time. This is also closing weekend at Del Mar, with the juveniles taking center stage there. Today you have the ladies in the spotlight in the Grade 1 Del Mar Debutante. Tomorrow, it's the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity. Doug O'Neill sends out Grade 2 Sorrento winner Vegas Music and Satin Doll in the Debutante. The latter, owned by the partnership consisting of college basketball coaches Rick Pitino and Mick Cronin, along with UCLA head football coach Chip Kelly. So some star power in the corner of Satin Doll. Doug's going to be represented by the maiden Mixto in tomorrow's Futurity. And he has 3 runners in the Grade 3 Del Mar Juvenile Turf Stakes on the Sunday program too. And Doug's going to be with me at 9:40 Eastern Time to talk about all of his runners coming up at Del Mar this weekend. Trainer Graham Motion, he is quietly putting together a really, really nice year. Much of that having to do with Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks winner Spenderella. And he's hoping that hot streak is going to continue later today when he sends out Pau Alto in the Grade 3 Baltimore-Washington International Turf Cup. That's at Pimlico. He also has Zatip and Serifos going in the $125,000 Toronto Cup at Woodbine. And Graham will be with me at 9:20 Eastern Time. He's also going to share his thoughts on the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, and I'll talk more about that later in the program. Scott Shapiro at 10 o'clock Eastern with the TwinSpires Triple play. Kurt Becker, 10:20 with his weekly stroll through racing history. And this is the 1-year anniversary of I Ask, They Answer, the 52nd show taking place today. Dale Roman's Tim Wilkin are going to be with me to celebrate, and a very special show coming your way at 10:30 Eastern, the final segment of the program here today. So here's what's coming up. After my first commercial break, in just about 5 minutes from right now, I'm going to welcome Jeff Maday from Canterbury Park. He's going to tell you about a massive BCBC handicapping qualifier taking place at Canterbury Park later this week. That's on Thursday. We'll talk more about that momentarily. Jane Lyons from Summer Wind Farm at 8:35. Road to the Breeders' Cup with Rusty Arnold at 9 o'clock. 9:20, it's Graham Motion. 9:40, Doug O'Neill. 10 o'clock, the TwinSpires Triple play with Scott Shapiro. 10:20, Kurt Becker takes you on a stroll through racing history, and we wrap it all up at 10:30 Eastern with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin. I Ask, They Answer. Here's your question of the day. And look, I'm stealing this question. I'm going to put it out there. This was a question that was posed in a panel I moderated for a virtual owner view conference that took place on Tuesday this week. And you can go back and watch the replay, by the way, on YouTube. It was fantastic. Some of the top owners in the game sharing their thoughts on how they got to the top, how they've stayed at the top, and what their secret is to finding some of these top horses and the team that surrounds them. Well, this was one question that was posed during that panel, and I thought it was great, so I'm going to ask you the same question. If you could own one horse currently in training, other than Flightline, which horse would you choose? We didn't eliminate Flightline when I asked that question to those panelists, but I'm going to eliminate it here today because I think everybody's going to say, oh, I want to own Flightline. So let's take the obvious answer out of the equation. But if you could own one horse currently in training, other than Flightline, which horse would you choose? You can go to @HRRN on Twitter to let me know your thoughts. You can also do that on our Facebook page, Horse Racing Radio Network. And if you don't do social media, no problem. You can always email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net with your answer. If you could choose, if you could own one horse currently in training other than Flightline, which horse are you going to choose? That's the question. Let me know your thoughts @HRN on Twitter, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, or email the show. All right, we're going to talk about a huge handicapping contest, massive contest, coming up on Thursday at Canterbury Park when I return. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Horsemen, handicappers, and racing fans won't want to miss a single day of the 7-day FanDuel meet at Kentucky Downs in early September. Thanks to the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund, registered Kentucky breds will run for $150,000 in maiden races, with allowance races starting at $160,000. With 17 stakes totaling $10.7 million, you are not going to want to miss a day. Reserved seats on sale at KentuckyDowns.com. There's Unique, and then there's Kentucky Downs.
The thrill of world-class racing continues at Toronto's Woodbine Racetrack. Kick off the weekend's action with Twilight Racing each Thursday evening at 4:50 p.m., followed Friday, Saturday, and Sunday programs beginning at 1 p.m. Don't miss the build towards 3 Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Winning You're In races on Saturday, September 17th with the Woodbine Mile, Natalma Stakes, and Summer Stakes. Plus, enjoy the best turf racing around with daily action over the famed E.P. Taylor Turf Course. For wagering updates, handicapping tips, racing news, and more, visit woodbine.com.
Learn the business of horses in the world's only accredited equine business program, the University of Louisville Equine Business Program. The University of Louisville has a legacy of excellence educating and developing industry leaders for over 35 years. Classes are taught by industry experts in state-of-the-art facilities located in the heartland of America's equine industry. The University of Louisville Equine Business Program. When it comes to horses, we mean business. For more information, visit business.louisville.edu/equine.
Hello, this is Bill Mott. You're listening to Horse Racing Radio Network.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Let's see, a quarter of a mile to go in the Pacific Classic. Flavion Pratt and Flightline are an embarrassing lead. It must be 15 lengths as they turn for home now. And let's see, Flavion Pratt just shakes the reins at Flightline. And take a good look at this, because you're not going to see this too often, maybe never again. Flightline, 20 lengths clear. Flavion Pratt takes a hold and canters in the TVG Pacific Classic. Second place will go to Country Grammar. Then came Royal Ship, Express Train, Extra Hope, and Stiletto Boy.
Trevor Denman with the call of one of the greatest performances we've seen in quite some time. Flightline geared down to win by nearly 20 lengths at Del Mar last weekend in the Grade 1 Pacific Classic. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we have seen freakish performances, dominating efforts. This was something special. They don't come around very often, so appreciate it. Flightline now 5 for 5, headed to the Breeders' Cup Classic, and he is going to be an overwhelming favorite to win that race. And even if you're not betting on him, which you're not going to make any money betting on Flightline to win, sit back and enjoy the show. This could be something really special, a generational type of runner. We'll find out. He has to come back now and prove that effort in the Pacific Classic was legit. And from everything we've seen in all 5 of his career starts, you have to believe it was. And there may be even more left in the tank as Flavion Pratt geared down Flightline to win by only 19.5. Just shy of the stakes record. What an effort. Jane Lyon coming up from Summerwind Farm at 8:35. We'll talk to her about breeding Flightline. We'll talk to her about being a part owner. And we'll get into some of her other accolades, some of the other success stories she's had in that tremendous career out there at Summerwind. Big news at Canterbury Park on Thursday. Huge handicapping contest. And I'm joined now by Jeff Maday to tell you all about the $120,000 Big Ten BCBC Handicapping Contest. It's Thursday, and it's going to be spectacular. Jeff, good morning, my friend.
Well, good morning, and thank you. And, wow, fun to listen to that race call again. That's something that can bring us all together in the industry, no matter what we're doing. And it's Flightline. That everyone was talking about it, and that's what we need. So I'm doing great, and I'm great to start the morning that way.
Yeah, the best was even last week on our I Ask, They Answer segment with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin. I threw out the question, should you be concerned about Flightline if you're betting on him in the Pacific Classic, because he'd never been 2 turns, he'd never gone 1.25 miles. Well, he answered those questions, didn't he?
Yeah, it was just so fun watching that race, and just the silence in the press box at Canterbury as we were watching it, and just the awe inspired, and then talking with customers the next day and later on that day. It's just, and then on the backside, went to the backside of Canterbury, and the horsemen and jockeys talking about it. It's just so cool to have a horse like that in this business.
Yep, I referred to him as Tiger Woods in his prime. He's Tiger Woods, and everybody else is the field right now. He's playing a whole different game than everybody else, and we'll see if that continues when he gets to Keeneland for the Breeders' Cup Classic on November 5th. Of course, we're going to have exclusive radio coverage of Flightline's effort in the Breeders' Cup Classic and every Breeders' Cup race here on the network. But we have other things to talk about now, and very important things. The huge $120,000 handicapping contest coming up on Thursday, the largest Breeders' Cup betting challenge qualifier of the year, all courtesy of Canterbury Park. Tell me all about it.
Well, it's a live money handicapping contest, and you can play at Canterbury or through various ADWs. And the format is fairly similar, I think, to what contest players are used to, with $1,000 buy-in, $2,000 live bankroll. You bet Canterbury's races, and we haven't drawn yet. We'll draw our races on Sunday. I would expect we'll have at least 10. Win, play, show, exacta, trifecta, and double. So it's pretty typical of what we're seeing in the handicapping contest market. But what's not typical is the 11 BCBC entries that we'll be giving away, plus another, I think, $10,000 in cash. Or if we exceed the value of that, we'll give all the money back. So it's a 100% return to the players. Last year I think we did this, and it was a little bit different format. We had 10 seats to the BCBC and a couple NHC. This year I decided just to go with the BCBC because the demand was greater. I think we had 100 players last year, and I'm, obviously hope we can get to 120, but we'll take what we get, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. And there's just a lot of names all over the country playing, and it's a fun chance to bring players together. For a contest that's unlike anything else.
Yeah, it's important, too, Jeff, to emphasize that fact that you don't have to be at Canterbury Park to play. You certainly can, but you can play on various ADWs as well. So you can be anywhere in the country playing in this huge contest and earn a seat in the BCBC, which is, and as you mentioned, 11 seats being given out, a maximum of 2 entries per player allowed for this contest. So you get an alternate ticket, which when I was playing in contests, I always loved having that B ticket, but it always seemed like I'd get turned around and put my good winners on the wrong ticket, and I'd end up with nothing at the end.
You end up with 2 average scores instead of 1 good score. You see that happen a lot. And I thought I just looked up this morning just to see what the results were last year, because you think, I can't possibly compete. And that's not true. Now, the winning score was 14,000, but last year 11th place was 3,100. So turning 2,000 into 3,100, that's not a mountain that you can't climb. I think that's what should be encouraging, is that we all know it's a tough game. It's got to be your day, but it certainly is doable.
And there is information. You can read the entire description of the contest. All of the rules are available on the Canterbury Park website, correct?
Absolutely. CanterburyPark.com is where you'll find everything. And certainly email me, call me, whatever. I'm in the office every day, so I'm ready to answer questions. But it is fun. And handicapping contest is something that we've been involved with at Canterbury for a long time. But I just love the players. And I know you've run across a lot of them. And just when they come to Canterbury or when I see their names online, it's just fun because it's the camaraderie, especially when you can get together in person, that these players are just fantastic, and they come from all over the country, all walks of life, with all sorts of stories, and that's what's really drawn me to the whole event. I mean, I love the event itself, obviously, and it's a lot of fun, but it's the people that are involved that keep me going.
I can remember some of the contests I played in. I haven't done it in years, but I can remember when I was playing in the contests at Keeneland. Oftentimes they weren't live bankroll contests. You would, bet win and place on a horse, but everybody was kind of playing the same amount of money on every race. This is different. This is $2,000 live bankroll after you pay your $1,000 entry fee. What have you found to be like a successful strategy in a contest like this?
I've watched these live bankroll contests for a long time, and everyone kind of has their own approach. What's kind of become popular, I think, of late is the double, and it's kind of it's the bet that people, I think, forget sometimes. But I've noticed that a lot of winning players, and you see the same thing in the BCBC where they have the daily double, where you can play a double. A lot of players seem to gravitate towards that now, at least the ones that are doing well. But what I like about the live money is you can be any kind of player. You can be a trifecta player. You can be a straight pool player and still have success. I mean, I've seen players do extremely well just win betting. So at some point you need to take a stand. But that's what's unique about the live bankroll, is that there's so many different ways to approach it, and you can do whatever fits your style. as opposed to the mythical Win Place where you really have to just do some bomb tossing because you can't fall too far behind. With a live money contest, you're never really out of it. If you've got money left, you're always in the mix.
What's the deadline to sign up? The contest is Thursday. What's the deadline to sign up, Jeff?
You can sign up through the start of the 5th race on Thursday night, because we'll have at least 10, so you'll be able to get your 5 mandatory plays in. But I would recommend that sign up early. Certainly, you can go to our website and find all the ways to do that. But get involved early. I anticipate, because it's our closing week of racing with just 3 days left, or 2 days left at that point, there'll be huge fields. That's traditionally what it's been, and we'll have a lot of turf racing and a lot of good dirt racing as well. So I think the fields will be big. The payoffs should be big. Our handle, those pools have been some of the biggest of each year, those last couple of nights of racing. So I think it's going to be a lot of ways to dive into this contest.
Yeah, and again, 11 entries into the BCBC offered in this contest, and it's going to be spectacular on Thursday at Canterbury Park. You don't have to be at Canterbury. You can play on various ADWs as well. And this is not the only contest you're looking forward to coming up. You have another one that you've been doing at Canterbury for a very long time. Tell me more about that.
I do. We call it the Dog Days of Summer tournament, and it's the weekend following, so 17th and 18th, so next weekend. And it's on track only, but we've been doing it 26 years. And I like to say it's the first live bankroll tournament in the country, and probably the absolutely longest running. But it draws people from all over the country. I've got folks from Connecticut that have been coming, I think, now for 20 years. They really, and that's when I talk about that camaraderie. It's these people that maybe they drop off the map for 5-6 years, and then here's a guy from Chicago that I haven't seen forever, but I know he's out there, and it attracts some big names. But it's that fun of spending 2 days together, handicapping and betting in a live bankroll format. And this one is just, you start with $400. You can bet anything you want. We offer every track, every pool. It's like a day at the races, with the big prize of being the NHC entries, and we'll have 3 of those next weekend.
Okay, so people are listening and they're going, all right, you're talking about BCBC entries and NHC entries. Explain the difference for people here, and these are 2 separate things.
Absolutely. So the BCBC, the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, is a contest where it's a $10,000 buy-in. So that's the prize you're competing for. $2,500 of that money goes to the prize pool. It's a $7,500 live bankroll tournament betting on the Breeders' Cup races over the 2 days. And that's become a huge event with, I don't even know what the final prize pool is, but it's gigantic. Now, the NHC is that Win Place format that we talked about, mythical Win Place, where you go to Las Vegas. There's probably 300 players. They spend all year qualifying. The only way to get into that, as opposed to the BCBC, where you could buy in, the NHC, you need to qualify. And the NTRA runs this. They have been for years. It's been something that has just grown phenomenally over the years. But Win Place isn't for everyone. I think that's what's ideal about having these different formats now, is that you've got live bankroll and you've got Win Place options. But we'll do both. We've been offering NHC seats now since they started that tournament 20-some years ago. So it's fun, and it's there's players that just seek that out, and you can see the names, some of the top names in handicapping, play in the NHC and try to get those seats, and it's not easy to do, and you need to qualify for it. So it's a great opportunity to do it at Canterbury. We usually have about 100 entries or so. We give away 3 NHC seats, so the chances, again, are pretty good compared to some of the online where you're playing against hundreds of people.
Huge final week at Canterbury, the $120,000 Big Ten BCBC Handicapping Contest coming up this Thursday. As Jeff just mentioned, the entry should be taken for that card on Sunday. You'll have plenty of time to prepare. That is the $1,000 entry fee, $2,000 live bankroll, and 11 seats giving away to the BCBC. And then next Saturday and Sunday, the 26th annual Dog Days of Summer Handicapping Contest with the NHC entries on the line, and you can go to CanterburyPark.com to learn more. Did I cover it all, Jeff?
You've got it all covered. I really appreciate that, and keep up the good work. And again, thanks for that Flightline race call. That was just spectacular.
Yeah, certainly special. We're going to hear from Flightline's breeder and part owner Jane Lyon coming up in just a few minutes in our next segment. Can't wait for that, and Jeff, can't wait to see how everybody fares in those handicapping contests. Keep up the wonderful work out there, my friend.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
All right, Jeff Maday, Canterbury Park here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. When I come back, it is time to visit with Jane Lyon. We're going to talk about Flightline. We'll talk about his half-brother, and we'll talk about some of the other success stories that she has been part of in this business. There have been plenty. I don't know if 15 minutes will be enough, but we're going to do our best. That all comes your way right after your legends of the turf.
This is the story of a thoroughbred who, without any reservation whatsoever, by name alone, conjures up images of greatness. The greatness and adulation of the American public that is reserved in the very front row of the heroes of sport. That horse was Seabiscuit. There are horses and there are horses, as the saying goes, and although all great horses are fast, not all fast horses are great. This horse is of very special significance because he was indeed one of a mere handful of the past 100 years who, through public adulation, became a true hero in the very ilk of the word itself. His story could well be the prototype of a Horatio Alger story, the consummate personification of the great American dream. In singular microcosm, he was what American racing is indeed all about. Seabiscuit was bred by the Wheatley stable, foaled in 1933 at Claiborne Stud of Arthur B. Hancock. He was the son of Hardtack out of Swing On by Wisbroom II. As a yearling, he was shipped to Hialeah along with several other yearlings by the redoubtable Sonny Jim Fitzsimmons. On January 19, 1935, he went to the post as a 2-year-old for the first time in a claiming event in which he finished a nondescript fourth while earning $50. 3 days later, he ran in another claimer over a distance of 3 furlongs and finished second, beaten 2 lengths by a horse called Clapping Jane. Either Clapping Jane or Seabiscuit could have been claimed from that field for $2,500. Clapping Jane never won again and wound up in Puerto Rico as a broodmare. It took 18 races for Seabiscuit to find a field of horses he could finally beat. That race was at Narragansett Park in Rhode Island for a purse of $750 on June 22, 1935. He then won the Watch Hill Claiming Stakes, named for the posh Rhode Island resort, for which he banked $2,800. He won 4 claiming races and was nearly claimed by Hirsch Jacobs in the process, but Jacobs felt he had highly suspicious knees. If only he knew what he had passed up at the time. Seabiscuit was sold in August of 1936 as a 3-year-old to Mr. Charles S. Howard for $7,500, and an association was born with that is legendary. The purchase was made on the advice of Silent Tom Smith, who, while looking over Seabiscuit, remarked there was, quote, a look of the Eagles, unquote, in him. It took Seabiscuit until the Brooklyn Handicap at the age of 4 to exhibit his championship medal. From that race on, he was sensational. There were 3 occasions subsequently wherein he was defeated through the efforts of a jockey named Nick Wall. Wall got his mount through a hole left on the rail by the Biscuits rider Red Pollard to win by a whisker in the Bowie Handicap at Pimlico in 1937. In the 1938 Santa Anita Handicap, Seabiscuit, carrying 130 pounds, had too much taken out of him by rider Georgie the Iceman Wolf, and Wall brought Stagehand from off the pace for a win. And in 1939, when Wall piloted Today to another win over the Biscuit. Seabiscuit finally realized C.S. Howard's fondest dream by winning the Santa Anita Handicap on his 3rd try in 1940, when Red Pollard again had the mount. That was a well-chronicled, well-remembered race in which 2 superb athletes, voted in the twilight of careers, both horse and rider, went out in a blaze of glory before an adoring public. It was the way the script should end, the stuff of a Frank Capra film. Seabiscuit was a failure at stud, but he retired from the racing wars as the world's leading money-winning thoroughbred. From an initial purse of $50 in 1935 and a meteoric rise to success, he was the very fiber of the lore, legend, and mystique of thoroughbred racing.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up, and if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey everyone, it's the Baron with this week's North of the Border report presented by Woodbine Entertainment. Graham Motion trainees Seraphos and Zatip will take on 8 rivals in the $125,000 Toronto Cup this afternoon at Woodbine. Seraphos is set to make his first start outside of the U.S. in the 1-mile event for 3-year-olds over the E.P. Taylor Turf Course. Bred and owned by Wertheimer at Frere, the son of Into Mischief rolls into his first stakes race in fine form. having won 2 of his past 3 races, including his latest 5 3/4 length triumph over allowance foes at Delaware Park.
But Serifos is in hand and hasn't been asked yet, and these two have kicked away from No Angel and Just Deal With It as heads turn for home. Jacker Rose trying to fend off the onslaught of challengers, and the one challengers is Serifos at the 3/16, and Serifos is now trying to kick away. Flattening out in second was Jacker Rose, then No Angel and Just Deal With It, but they're close to the finish, and Serifos, despite the jockey right down on the saddle, wins.
Motion's other entrant, a son of Tappet out of Zoftig named Zatip, will look to rebound from an off-key effort at Colonial Downs last time out. The Chestnut, also a Wertheimer at Frere homebred, finished last of 6 in the Housebuster Overnight Handicapped on August 1st, after winning his previous 2 races, including his seasonal debut at Laurel. His breeding suggests he should handle the grass, but we haven't taken that route up until now, offered Motion, who recently eclipsed the 2,600 win mark. He'll look to add to that total later today. The Toronto Cup is scheduled as the 7th race with a first post of 1 p.m. Eastern. And that's your North of the Border report for this Saturday morning. For more updates and racing information, visit Woodbine.com or follow along on Twitter and Instagram at WoodbineTV.
This is jockey Rajiv Maharaj, and I love the Horse Racing Radio Network, the best show on the planet.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
"3:30 in the morning, not a soul in sight. City's looking like a ghost town on a moonless summer night. Raindrops on the windshield, there's a storm moving in. He's heading back from somewhere that he never should have been. And the thunder rolls."
Yeah, the thunder rolled at Del Mar last weekend, didn't it? Flightline, thunder, lightning, he brought it all with him. The competition had no idea what they were in for in that Pacific Classic. A 19 3/4 length victory. There might have even been a couple of tremors in Southern California from the roar from the crowd because it was spectacular. And I'm joined now by Flightline's breeder, Jane Lyon. She is also involved in the ownership group that includes Horonis Racing, Sienna Farm, West Point Thoroughbreds, and Woodford Racing. Jane, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I understand you're a big Garth Brooks fan. I was trying to find some unique way to introduce you to the program. The thunder rolls. Could it be any better?
No, it could not be better. That was a perfect song to pick for me because I am a Garth Brooks fan, and I love that one particularly.
What's your favorite Garth Brooks song, Jane?
Oh, it would be hard to say. I like Rodeo. I like The Thunder Rolls. I think I like just about everything he's done.
Yeah, I remember seeing him in concert years and years ago. I moved to Kentucky in 1997, and this was well before that. And, boy, it was in Albany, New York, and he put on such a tremendous show. And I understand he still puts on a great show.
Well, I actually have never seen him in person and possibly never will. I'm not a concert kind of a girl, but I certainly enjoy his music.
Jane, I want to talk about Flightline here in a minute, but I want to go back and reminisce a little bit more with you. I remember making a visit to Summer Wind Farm back in the late 90s. I was working at Thoroughbred Times. I was brand new to the industry pretty much, and I had a chance to visit the farm with one of my coworkers. And the one thing that stuck out to me, not just the horses, but I remember I got to meet otters when I was at Summer Wind Farm. And I'll never forget that.
Well, most people don't. I have always been an animal lover my whole life, and my husband, Frank, indulged my passion a little bit begrudgingly. But I've had all sorts of animals my whole life. I think I have passed that on to my daughter, Karen, who runs the Kentucky Wildlife Center and has done a lot of research and is working on her PhD now to help animals of all species.
I understand there's a zebra living at Summerwind Farm now, too?
Oh, yes. There is a zebra, and I would like to caution any grandparent who thinks that is a good idea as a gift for the grandchildren to rethink that one.
Ziggy, I believe, is his name, right?
Ziggy is his name, yes.
Fantastic. I mean, there is so much to this story, and if Summerwind Farm has had so much success in the game, and Jane, you certainly have. But let's start with the recent star, Flightline. As you're watching that performance last weekend, what was going through your mind?
Awe and disbelief, and the thrill that this animal exists. What I saw, I had dreamed about, but did not expect. I don't think you can expect a performance like that. But the thing that strikes me the most about it all is that the horse has never been asked. He has never been pushed, and he does it all on his own.
I can imagine that there's a point as he's pulling away, because I know I had chills. And for somebody who was involved with the ownership group like yourself, and somebody who watched Flightline grow up from a baby, who bred him, who organized everything, chills probably doesn't even begin to describe it, does it, Jane?
No, it really doesn't. And every time I watch the race, I do have the chills you're talking about. But I was crying as he was pulling away, and I kept thinking, if I don't quit this, I won't be able to see him go past the finish line. I was just so emotional.
I can imagine. Take me back to the beginning. Let's talk about that pedigree that he has. A son of Tappet out of your mare, Feathered, an Indian Charlie mare. Tell me about organizing this and putting the mating together, and then tell me about Flightline as a baby.
Well, the mare I purchased at the sale, and because of her pedigree, and she is obviously a long-time Phipps family bloodline, and at that point I was trying to develop my broodmare band. My husband had just passed away, and I was down to just not very many horses that were active in breeding. I had retired a lot of my mares and had lost one or two to old age. So I was looking to build up a broodmare band, and she kind of stuck out at the sales. And when it was time to breed her again after the Warfront filly that she was carrying was sold, Tappet has always been a major star in my mind. And breeding her to Tappet was sort of a no-brainer for us. And it just is a miracle from there. I can't really take credit for it.
Who would you give the credit to?
The horse, to John Sadler and Juan Leyva, and to our other partners, to the Horoneses, for giving the horse all the time he needed to become who he is.
You said Feathered really jumped out at the sale. She really stood out. What was it about Feathered that jumped off the page to you?
Well, obviously her blood, her pedigree, and the fact that she was a stakes mare on dirt and turf, and that was basically what I remember of it. It was a long time ago, Mike.
Well, the recent memories are going to last a very long time now, Jane. By the way, visiting with Jane Lyon of Summerwind Farm. She is the breeder of the incredible Flightline, also involved in that ownership group, so she gets a chance to stay involved in that respect as well. Tell me about Flightline as a baby. What do you remember about him, Jane?
Well, this won't be a popular comment, but when he was born, little Princess Emma, who is probably my all-time favorite mare because of her personality, disposition, had just had also a Tappet colt, and he was kind of my favorite, because I was able to towel him off and be with him all the time. And they were in the same pasture growing up. And honestly, Feathered can be a little bit pushy and a little bit hateful to other mares and other foals. So I wasn't as hands-on with Flightline as I was Triple Tap.
Okay.
But it was obvious they both were very, very nice foals. And I'm trying to make better friends with Feathered now because I do want to have my hands on her babies a little more than I did Flightline.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Little Princess Emma, too, because, when we talk about great horses in our sport, American Pharoah is one of those names that jumps to mind. And Little Princess Emma, the dam of American Pharoah, the Triple Crown winner, just look back on that run that American Pharoah took all of us on that year. What was that like for you, Jane?
Well, I've said this before, but as it turned out, it was an extremely emotional and bittersweet year because it was the last year of Frank's life. And we had purchased Emma the November before. And to get to be a peripheral part of his year as Triple Crown winner was just the epitome of what breeding horses is about. And although we didn't breed him, we went to all of his races, and he got to see what it's like. And it's I think the first time he ever enjoyed being in the horse business. And so it was just a gift, just like Flightline is. It was a gift to me and my family, and I'm sorry, I really can't say more. I start getting pretty emotional about it.
Yeah, totally understand that. You were set to sell Flightline's half-brother at the upcoming Keeneland September sale that was going to be part of the Lane's End consignment. You decided after the Pacific Classic, I just can't part with this horse. Tell me about that decision.
Well, a girl can always change her mind. And it's hard for me to part with any of my horses. But after that performance in the Pacific Classic, I just was thinking about it, and, if I put him in the sale, he could be sold, and they may not want a partner or anything like that. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to catch my breath. I'm going to see what happens in the Breeders' Cup, and then I'll make a decision. And that's what I'm going to do.
If Flightline were to win the Breeders' Cup and do it with the style that he has shown in all of his races, put yourself there. Look ahead to that moment. What would that be like, Jane?
Well, I'm quite sure I won't be able to see him cross the finish line if that happens. If Flightline shows up, and the thing about Flightline is that he is so self-possessed, and they just let him tell them what he wants to do. And I think John Sadler and Juan are the key to Flightline being who he is right now, and in allowing this horse to do that. And I don't know in history how many horses there have been that actually just ran their own races without honestly being asked. And I think the most thing they have to do with him is keep him slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier in the program that, jockey Flavien Prat was very conscious of not using him too much. He already had the huge lead. He didn't have to, and he geared him down in the stretch of the Pacific Classic. And you're right. I mean, just leaving something in the tank for his next start, and he left plenty. It certainly looked like he did.
Well, I think the horse gets a little aggravated when they try to gear him down. But, yes, I mean, he obviously, I believe, could have easily broken the track record had he not been under wraps and Flavien was standing up on him across the finish line. But they've always tried to save the horse from himself. And I did see the comment in the TDN that Thorograph had given him the highest figure or the lowest figure today. And the very last comment in that was horses generally don't survive running that fast. And I think the main goal with Flightline is that I think he is one of those super horses that if you just let him take care of himself, that he won't be one of those, hopefully, that can't continue running like this.
Well, Jane, I want to wish you all the best over the course of the next 55 days as we make our way down the road to the Breeders' Cup here at Keeneland. We have the privilege of broadcasting every Breeders' Cup race here on our network. We're really looking forward to that. And I told your assistant, Liz, that at some point between now and the Breeders' Cup, I would love to come out and visit the farm at some point. So we're going to try and set that up. I understand there's no more otters to pet and to hang out with anymore, though.
Well, not at my house, but you can certainly find them at Karen's, not the same otters, but at the Kentucky Wildlife Center. But no, there are no otters at the moment.
Jane, really appreciate the visit this morning. Again, all the best with Flightline and all your horses. We didn't even get to talk about McKinsey and Game Winner and the other greats that you have bred over the years, but we'll do that at another time. Wonderful conversation. Thank you so much, and enjoy the weekend.
Much.
Enjoy every moment with Flightline.
I will. Thank you.
All right, Jane Lyon, Summerwind Farm. What a delight, and somebody who's had so much success. I mentioned those other names. Didn't even get a chance to talk with her about those, but the one thing that's really cool about Jane Lyon is that she's always about the horse. She's always giving credit back to the horse. You heard her. I can't take credit. It's all about Flightline. It's all about John Sadler and everybody that's been involved with this horse all the way through. Great stuff, and wish them all the best going forward. When I come back, I'll share a few thoughts on the passing of Queen Elizabeth as I get ready for hour number 2, and that's a loaded hour. I will tell you about that when I return as well. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Hi, Tony.
Hey, Matthew.
There's a reason why Tony's Steaks and Seafood is my favorite restaurant. It's because I want to feel part of the family. Isn't that right, Tony?
That's right. There's a saying on the wall that I truly believe in. There's always room for one more at our table. We just want you to be part of our family.
And believe me, you will be. It's Tony's Steaks and Seafood right across from Triangle Park. Visit them at TonySteaksandSeafood.com.
Woodford Feed, where tradition merges with technology. Family owned since 1940 and providing exceptional customer service, Woodford Feed specializes in the highest quality feed, using only the finest ingredients to ensure optimal nutrition for your horses. In addition, Woodford Feed can help with all your farm needs, including field seed, fertilizer, and weed control. So whether your horse is sprinting around the racetrack or has a foal by her side, count on Woodford Feed to provide the quality nutrition necessary to perform at the highest level. Woodford Feed for Sales, Kentucky.
Have you heard the news about this year's Claiming Crown? The Breeders' Cup for claiming owners is moving to historic Churchill Downs for 2022, and it all takes place Saturday, November 12th beneath the iconic TwinSpires. 8 races, over $1 million in purses, plus KTDF funds for eligible horses. Requests for eligibility are due October 22nd. Don't miss your chance to participate in this year's Claiming Crown at Churchill Downs, Saturday, November 12th. Learn more at nationalhbpa.com.
In honor of all those we've lost to cancer and those still fighting and thriving, like basketball analyst and cancer champion Dick Vitale.
I want to beat cancer. I'm going to beat it. That's no doubt in my mind. I'm going to win this battle.
Defeating cancer will take all of us. Join our team to help fund game-changing research that saves lives. At the V Foundation, V is for victory over cancer. V is for victory over the odds. V is for victory over health disparities, victory over setbacks, victory over the unknown. V is for victory over giving up.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Donate to the V Foundation to join our team and help save lives.
Cancer can take away all my physical abilities. It cannot touch my mind, it cannot touch my heart, and it cannot touch my soul.
100% of donations fund game-changing cancer research. Donate now to the V Foundation at v.org.
Hi, this is jockey Brian Hernandez. For me, there's no bigger thrill than crossing the finish line in front, and nobody captures the excitement of our sport like Horse Racing Radio Network. Each week, HRRN brings you exclusive talk shows, podcasts, and in-depth conversations with the biggest names in racing, jockeys, trainers, owners, and more. Plus, HRRN is committed to helping disabled riders through their support of the PDJF. So climb aboard a winner today by visiting horseracingradio.net.
Hey, it's Corey Lannery. You're listening to the Horse Racing Radio Network.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN. Presented by TwinSpires.
So it's Alleged and done firmly now. The colt and the filly who've gone clear with 3.5 furlongs to go. Alleged leads, done firmly in his second. Making ground from the pack, a Guadagnini and classic example. Lucky Sovereign is beaten, so is Alwyn. Romezzo is last of all. 2.5 furlongs to go. And it's Alleged by a couple of lengths only from Dun Firmin, who's closing all the time. Alleged, who's never been beaten so far. Dun Firmin, who won the Oaks, and Dun Firmin is now almost on terms with Alleged. It's between these two. They've drawn right away from classic example. Coming now down towards the distance, and Dunfermline goes into a lead. Dunfermline ahead of Alleged on the inside rails, inside the final furlong, and it's Dunfermline and Willie Carson. Could this be another Royal Classic? Alleged is fighting back, but Dunfermline has the advantage. Racing to the line, Dunfermline is going to win it, and at the line, Dunfermline is the winner. Alleged is second.
Those colors all familiar. Dunfermline winning the 1977 St. Leger in the purple jacket, red sleeves, and black cap trimmed with gold accents of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, jockey Willie Carson, trainer Dick Hearn. That was a special moment for the Queen. She won Dunfermline won 2 British Classics, the St. Leger and the Epsom Oaks in the Queen's Silver Jubilee year of 1977, and Queen Elizabeth II passing away this week. She visited Kentucky 5 times during her reign. She was she was a wonderful equestrian and incredibly involved in the sport of thoroughbred racing as an owner, as a breeder, and took an interest not just in her horses but in the sport as a whole. Her first visit to the Bluegrass came in 1984 when she attended the races at Keeneland and presented a trophy for the inaugural Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup, which was created in her honor. She then returned again in 1986, 89, 91, and in 2007. Keeneland, this is kind of cool. They've already announced that the Queen's legacy would be honored this fall as part of the year of the Platinum Jubilee celebrations, and this was already announced prior to her passing. This year's renewal of the QE2, as it's known, the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup, is set for October 15th, and the winner this year is going to be the recipient of a strawberry dish commissioned by Great British Racing International and Kipco British Champion Series on behalf of British Racing, and produced by Royal Jewelers Gerrard. So really cool stuff there, and it's going to have a little special meaning this year on October 15th. The Queen and Prince Philip also attended the Queen's Plate at Woodbine in Toronto on 4 different occasions, including in 1959 for its 100th running. So Queen Elizabeth II going to be missed, not just by the horse industry, but by everybody whose lives she touched along the way. And we will miss her certainly in this game. All right, coming up in hour number 2, it begins going down the road to the Breeders' Cup. I welcome Rusty Arnold, the trainer of Totally Boss, the 2019 winner of the Turf Sprint at Kentucky Downs. That's a win and you're in today for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. We'll see if Totally Boss can find his way back to the winner's circle 3 years later. But this is a horse that's been retired, come out of retirement. It's a great story. Rusty's going to tell it in just a few minutes. Graham Motion going to be with me at 9:20. Doug O'Neill at 9:40. He has a busy weekend with his 2-year-olds out at Del Mar on their closing weekend. Coming up at 10 o'clock, the TwinSpires Triple Play with Scott Shapiro. 10:20, Kurt Becker Stroll Through Racing History. And 10:30, the 1-year anniversary edition of I Ask, They Answer with trainer Dale Romans and turf writer Tim Wilkin. I'm back with hour 2 after your Visit Barbados racing update and a 10-second pause for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Closing weekend at Del Mar, Breeders' Cup Challenge Day at Kentucky Downs, and the return of a popular Mid-Atlantic turf race highlight this weekend's racing calendar. At Del Mar, Bob Baffert goes in search of his 4th consecutive win in the Grade 1 Del Mar Debutante, sending out home cooking and fast and shiny in the 10-horse field, while jockey Flavian Pratt can make it 5 in a row in the Grade 2 John C. Maybe with a victory aboard defending champion going to Vegas. At Kentucky Downs, a pair of past winners will look to punch their ticket to the Breeders' Cup. 2019 Turf Sprint winner Totally Boss looks to regain his winning form in this year's renewal, while 2018 and 2020 Kentucky Turf Cup victor Arklow is back for another try and once again finds himself among the favorites. And will defending champ Field Pass be able to defend his title in the Baltimore-Washington Turf Cup at Old Hilltop? Host time for the 1-mile test is 5:04 Eastern. That's your Visit Barbados racing update brought to you by Barbados Tourism. Learn more at visitbarbados.com.
If you've been waiting to discover that sweet spot where peace of mind meets the time of your life, then it sounds like you've been waiting on Barbados. You've been waiting to experience a meal that makes you book a flight to have it again. You've been waiting for adventure in the sun, from the majesty of horse racing and polo to the thrill of surfing our playful waves. From the moment you set foot on the island, you'll realize Barbados is exactly what you've been waiting for. Visit jetblue.com/Barbados for special vacation packages.
This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of a very busy morning rolling on. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, happy to have you along for the ride. If you missed any portion of the first hour of the program, my conversation with Jeff Maday from Canterbury Park talking about their huge handicapping contest coming up later this week, or that conversation a short time ago with Jane Lyon from Summer Wind Farm, simply head back to our website, horseracingradio.net. A podcast of this program and all of our shows is available for you to listen to at your leisure, horseracingradio.net. You can also do that on every major podcast platform. So however you are subscribing to your podcast, simply type in Horse Racing Radio Network and you can listen at your leisure. My poll question today, if you could own one horse currently in training other than Flightline, which horse would you choose? We're going to take the big horse, the obvious answer, out of the equation. But if you could own one horse currently in training other than Flightline, which horse would you choose? And the answers are coming in. I saw one for Life is Good by Ed getting a shout out there as a horse that people would like to own. Let's see. There are 2 looking to the future. Auguste Rodin and Capture the Flag. And I hope I pronounced that first name correctly. And here's one more for you. There are several other responses, but we don't have time to get to all of them right now. I'll try to get to more later. Damon's Mound. I like the way he came off the pace, put his stocky neck down, and ran. So there you go. Damon's Mound getting a vote as well. So let me know your thoughts. You can weigh in on our social media page at HRRN on Twitter, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook. And, of course, if you don't do social media, email the show, Mike at horseracingradio.net. I wonder how many people would like to own Totally Boss if he wins the turf sprint at Kentucky Downs today. I know I certainly would. Rusty Arnold, his trainer, is with me now to go down the road to the Breeders' Cup. Rusty, good morning.
Good morning. I will weigh in on your question, though. I'd like to own Epicenter.
Wouldn't that be great?
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you think there's any chance, looking ahead to the Breeders' Cup, let's say they both make it, Epicenter, Flightline, any chance Epicenter can find a way to get past Flightline?
Well, I mean, stranger things have happened. This Flightline looks like a special horse that you only see come along in so many years, but it's horse racing, and we see these things happen all the time. One doesn't stay good, and one gets better. So it would be sure fun to watch, I'll say that.
Why would Epicenter be your choice, Rusty?
Well, when you said which one you would like to own, I'm thinking is owning one. My choice would be because of his stallion career and his value. That's what I was kidding about.
Yeah, I think that there's a ton of upside there, and that cup is certainly half full. There's no doubt about it. Maybe even all the way full when you talk about a horse like Epicenter. Let's talk about Totally Boss for a minute, because here is a horse, Rusty, that has a great story. He won the turf sprint at Kentucky Downs in 2019, was retired, I believe, in 2021, and then they brought him back into training. So take me through the progression here with Totally Boss.
Well, he missed the year after he won it. He didn't get to go back, and brought him back the next year, and it was the year, I don't know if you remember, we ran it in a deluge down there. It was a rainstorm. It was a deep cuppy track. He didn't run well. He did not come out of it good. He just seemed like he wasn't as good. He went home. And when we brought him back, he ran a bad race. And he had a little bit of an internal problem, not bad, no operation, just wasn't doing well. And the Hills take care of their horses. They give them a permanent home. They took him home and put him out in their pension field, and they just watched him, I think, for months. He got to doing really, really well. Healthy, running in the field, acted great. They decided to put him back in the light training. He did well through that. They put him back in training a little bit stronger. He did well, and they called me and said, let's try him again with the intention of, if you don't like the way he's training, send him back. And he's got a permanent retirement home. And he just really did well, really did well. We ran him at Churchill, and he won his first start back and didn't win at Ellis. A little disappointing, but there were some factors to that. Pace, he had to go a little wide. He got beat, 3/4 of a length, I think. Has continued to do well since then, and excited to run him today.
Yeah, Susan and Jim Hill, the owners of Totally Boss, said that, when they started playing on the farm, that they wanted to put him back in training to see if that's what was truly making him happy. And Rusty, considering the results of him winning his first start back, it seems like that is what makes him happy.
Yeah, he loves his job. He loves the game when he's right, and we think he's really good right now. And he is, when he shows he isn't, they'll take him back home. So we're happy to have him in the barn. He's one of the barn favorites with everybody. He's just, he's just a really lovely horse to be around, and excited to have him in.
Have you ever had this happen before, where a horse that you were training is retired and then they bring him back into training like this?
No, I don't think so. We had some consideration of maybe deciding whether to retire a mare or two, whether to bring him back at 5 or 6 and make that decision, but never one that just like, okay, he's been a good horse, we're retiring, and then a year later put him back in training. So I'd say no.
What signs are you seeing from Totally Boss that make you believe he is back to the form that he showed in 2019 when he won this race?
Well, he's a happy camper right now. If you see him down there today, he looks amazing. His coat is absolutely silk. He wants to train every day. He's enthusiastic about training. His works have been good. His last one was a bit slower, but that was by design. I kind of told my girl, don't let him do too much, and probably took it to a level, but he galloped out extremely strong, galloped out probably a mile. So we have no fitness issue, and shipped down this morning, and very excited about running.
So often when I talk about these turf sprint races, Rusty, I mention the fact that it's not usually the front runners that win these races. It's horses that can sit off the pace and make that late run. Why do you think that's the case? Or it certainly seems to be to me.
Well, in most cases it is, unless you're looking at Golden Pal. Of course, he came from off the pace last start, but it takes a special horse to run the entire part on the front end because everybody takes a shot at him. And when you get, people taking a shot at you for the first quarter, the middle quarter, and the last quarter, you've got to be really good to withstand that. But, usually it just is set up for horses to come from out of it, and this track sets up for horses to come out of it.
Rusty Arnold with me here on the Horse Racing Radio Network going down the road to the Breeders' Cup. He can punch a return ticket to the Breeders' Cup with Totally Boss with a victory in the Turf Sprint at Kentucky Downs later this afternoon. Post time for that Turf Sprint. It is race number 9 on the program, 5:10 Eastern. That is 4:10 Central when that race will go. And again, it's 6 furlongs on the turf course in southern Kentucky. Rusty, that turf course is so unique. When you go 6 furlongs, are there some different undulations that the horses have to deal with there too?
Well, I don't think you know which horses like this turf course until they've done it. He's run on it. He's run well on it, so you don't worry about it. And, I don't get to train on it. There's a few things over here that do.
Rusty, are you still with us?
I am. I must be going in a dead area. Get back.
All right. Well, we'll let you go. I know you're making your way to Kentucky Downs now, so we'll let you go. Really do appreciate the visit, my friend, and good luck with Totally Boss.
Okay, if I'm back on, we just went through a dead area, but
oh, okay. Well, if you have another, we'll try it again. If it breaks up, we'll let you go, but we'll try it again. So you were talking about the turf course.
Well, I think it's tough to know which ones are going to handle it, which ones aren't. Most don't train on it, and this horse has run on it, so I'm sure he's going to handle it. And I think sometimes you don't know till you run on it. And I think a lot of that's left up to your rider. They know the course a lot better than me, and they have to figure it out. And obviously, Florent has done it really well here.
Rusty Arnold has trained over 1,800 winners. He's closing in on 1,900 career wins. He has had multiple graded stakes winners. Still looking for that first win in the Breeders' Cup, Rusty. You've had 15 starters. Who knows? How great would it be if Totally Boss were to be the one to give you your first?
Yeah, it would be nice. Had a few thirds, nothing better. Been a little disappointing, but they're hard to win. That somebody told me one day, why they're hard to win? Everybody wants to win them.
Yeah, it's like the Kentucky Derby, right? I've asked Steve Asmussen that question so many times. I mean, here's a guy who's won more races than any trainer in history, and that's a race that's eluded him. And he said, hey, it's the Kentucky Derby.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, just so tough to win. Those 2 third-place finishes that you had in the Breeders' Cup, they came in 2019 with Gear Jockey in the Juvenile Turf, and then Leinster in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint in 2020. As you're watching those horses, they're close. They didn't get there, but they're close. You had to be so proud of each of them.
Yeah, I think, of course, Gear Jockey was a maiden when he ran in it, so it was a great race for him. He probably got beat about a length. I think in 19, Leinster was the best horse. I just was having issues with his feet going into the race, and it was probably my best shot. I think for that year, he was the best sprinter in the United States. And he was having foot issues. I mean, there was even a question up until race day whether he was going to get to run or not. When we were doing several things to his feet, we're working on him every day, and we got him good enough to get beat about a length. But I do think that would probably have been the best shot I've had.
Does Totally Boss have to win the Turf Sprint today to be considered for a spot in the Breeders' Cup?
No, I don't think so. He would have to run a very, very good race. It would have to be the kind of race do you think, well, he's going to run twice this year. He can move forward off of it. So I would say he doesn't have to win, but it would sure be a good indicator if he did.
Rusty, are you a superstitious trainer? Do you have a certain spot you like to watch these races every time?
No, I think at Keeneland I stand in the same spot every time, but most other places I'll just walk around and watch them from somewhere.
Well, listen, I hope you're watching in a spot where you see Totally Boss cross the finish line in front later today at Kentucky Downs. It's a wonderful story, and I'm so glad he's back with you, and I'm so glad he's happy and enjoying his job, and all the best later this afternoon, my friend.
Thank you. Anytime.
All right, Rusty Arnold going down the road to the Breeders' Cup here on HRRN. Totally Boss retired midway through his 2021 campaign, off for almost a year. They bring him back. He wins his return race, an allowance race, optional claimer at Churchill. Rusty said there were some considerations to him finishing fourth in his most recent race, some excuses, if you will, going wide, which he did. He was out in the 7 path, came up 3/4 of a length short in that turf sprint at Ellis Park. Now he goes to a course we know he likes, and as Rusty said, you don't know if they like it till they run over it. Totally Boss likes it. He won the Grade 3 turf sprint in 2019. And he comes from off the pace. And as Rusty said, it seems like they take shots at those horses on the front end. It's usually a quick pace, sets up for horses like this. 12-1 on Totally Boss today. I think that's great value. This is a wide open race. And why not? Rusty's not bringing him there unless he's ready. And you have to feel like this horse is sitting on a big race today. I'd use him 12-1. You got to have him in there. He might even be standing in the winner's circle. And what a great story that would be. What a great training job that would be by Rusty Arnold. And I started the show talking about Totally Boss and talking about Arklow, who makes his 5th consecutive start. Let me say that again. 5th consecutive start in the Kentucky Turf Cup, which is the race after that turf sprint today. He won it his inaugural year. Then he was second. Then he won it. Then he was second last year. If the pattern holds true, he's standing in the winner's circle again today. And as I told you, if he wins it for a third time, the race automatically needs to be renamed the Arklow. That's incredible. And as good of a training job as this is going to be by Rusty Arnold, if Totally Boss wins, think about the training job that Brad Cox and his team have done with 8-year-old Arklow to keep him at the top of his game. He's second choice today. Second choice behind Grade 1 winner Gufo. So not only is he at the top of his game, he's a major contender. He's a major player in that Turf Cup this afternoon. Great storylines at Kentucky Downs. Both of those races win in your ins for the Breeders' Cup. So my thanks to Rusty for taking the time to go down the road to the Breeders' Cup. When I come back, we'll turn our attention to Pimlico. Big graded stakes there today. We'll talk about the races coming up in Toronto at Woodbine, and I'll do that with a man who is going to be a participant in all of those. That is trainer Graham Motion. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Adina Springs stallion American Guru is a star in the making, with his first foals arriving this year. From a family steeped in tradition, offering Mr. Prospector influences on both sides, and breeders can tap into the famed Leafards Delta line. A winner on both turf and Tapeta, American Guru recorded 4 wins from 7 starts, with victories from 5 furlongs to a mile, including this brilliant win over the Belmont Park Turf in 132.09.
American Guru swings up on the outside, 3/4 in 108.22. And holding on here is a Tribute with another furlong to go. American Guru yet to get by, but still trying hard. A Tribute on the inside. American Guru draws even. American Guru getting to a Tribute late. And American Guru and Irad Ortiz have won it by 2.
American Guru, standing at Adina Springs. Visit adinastallions.com.
Achieve Equine, makers of Flair Equine Nasal Strips, brings you innovative, evidence-based products for the health and well-being of your equine athletes, like the new Impact Protection Half Pad from Europe, VIP Equestrian, that provides a superior layer of cushioning for the horse's back. Visit achieveequine.com for more information on the innovative products we offer. That's achieveequine.com. Breathe easy, we've got your back.
I'm here with Joe Brown Nicholson of Nicholson Insurance Agency. Joe, how do you value a horse for insurance?
Well, Mike, it's easy to value a horse when purchased out of a public auction. The insured value would simply be the auction price. but ensuring homebreds can be a little more involved.
How so?
Well, factors such as a stud feet, conformation, pedigree, sales and race records of siblings, even popularity of the stallion, all come into play.
How closely do you work with owners in determining a horse's value?
Well, the owner has a pretty good idea of the horse's value, so generally it's just a matter of agreeing to the request and having the policy issued.
For all your equine and general insurance needs, including farm owners, liability, homeowners, auto, and more, contact Joe Brown Nicholson at nicholsoninsurance.com or call 859-224-7080. That's 859-224-7080. Nicholson Insurance Agency.
Okay, this is Carl Nasker, and I listen to HRRN.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
3/8 to go in the Del Mar Oaks, and Cairo Memories kicks for home, but Spanderella immediately hooks out and comes to take her on. And Spanderella in the white cap now taking on Cairo Memories, top of the lane in the Oaks. These two come for home together. Bella Bella's trying to get involved from third. Homeward bound, and Spenderella just sweeps on by and opens up on them. And it's Spenderella striding away. 4, 5, 6 could not have been more impressive. Spenderella turns it into a procession. Finishing second was Bella Bell. Third was Cairo Memories. Very close then for fourth.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN. Trevor Denman with the call of the Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks, won by the Graham Motion trained Spenderella. And I told you earlier in the show that Graham Motion is quietly putting together a fantastic year. He has won 7 graded stakes races, and he is looking to add to that total later today with Pau Alto, who goes at Pimlico in the Grade 3 Baltimore-Washington International Turf Cup. He has a couple of runners north of the border as well in the Toronto Cup. We'll talk to him about those as he joins me right now on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Graham, good morning. Appreciate the visit.
Hey, good morning, Mike. No problem.
Let's start. We just heard Spenderella. Let's start with her for a minute. Boy, she has really been good this year, hasn't she?
She really has. I mean, I've got to be honest, I'm a little surprised how good she is because, you know, she's turned into one of the best fillies I've trained at this point. So very exciting, you know, really proud of the year she's put together.
Her effort in the Del Mar Oaks was just tremendous. I know you expected a good effort, but did you expect to see that?
I thought it was a little bit of a tricky race on paper, actually. I thought, you know, obviously running against a new group, there were quite a few Euros in the Euro imports. So, you know, I certainly hoped or expected to run well. I couldn't have predicted her winning like she did. What's next for her? So she's going to be out for the rest of the year. We came up with a little issue after the Oaks. I would have run her one more time in the QE2, but that would have been it for the year anyway. So we're going to give her the rest of the year off and hopefully have a strong campaign next year.
I had not seen that. That's kind of heartbreaking, but again, she'll be back next year, and that's a good thing, and maybe even bigger and stronger than this year, which would be wonderful. I know you're hoping for that scenario. How does a trainer deal with that kind of stuff, Graham? I mean, you have a horse that wins a Grade 1 and then all of a sudden has to go to the sidelines. How do you deal with the highs and the lows?
Look, I think you have to maintain a certain amount of consistency, just sort of being grounded. I think as trainers, we tend to be a little pessimistic because we half expect these things. And I think when things go really well, you really appreciate them.
Well, as I said, as I was introducing you, you have and are quietly putting together a fantastic year with those 7 graded stakes victories, and who knows where that total will end up by the time we get to the end of the year. But do you look at this year as being a really strong year for Graham Motion, or at least an acceptable year for Graham Motion by your standards?
No, I mean, look, I think we've really bounced back. We had a couple of very quiet years where, you know, it's all about the horses. And you know, we'd been fortunate enough to have some outstanding years with Sharing and the likes of her. And then, you know, her and me and Mary were on the shelf. And I think all of a sudden, you know, we had a bit of a gap in our stable. And it's taken us a couple of years to get back. We also downsized a little bit. We sold one of our barns at Fair Hill. So,
we've kind of had to reconstruct a little bit. And no, I'm really excited about the year we've put together. I think we've already equaled our earnings from last year with a couple of good months to go, hopefully.
Yeah, you should be very, very proud of what you and the team have been able to accomplish. Let's focus on what's happening today. You have the Grade 3 Baltimore-Washington International Turf Cup. This is a race that's gone through a lot of changes over the years. It has a lot of history to it. Number 2, Pau Alto, is your entrant in here. You're going to be sending him out for the first time on U.S. soil, first time in your care. Tell me about Pau Alto.
So he's a horse that came to me for the Wertheimers a couple of months ago. Obviously solid credentials in Europe. Pierre, the racing manager for the Wertheimers, thought he'd be a good fit for America. And, I'm pleased with how he's come around. It took him a month or two to sort of figure things out, but I think we've had him long enough that he's certainly ready to go. And I thought this was a great spot to introduce him to American racing. I do think the race came up particularly tough, actually.
Yeah, it's a very good renewal this year. It seems like every year that since they brought it back, it seems to be getting better and better and better. Would you agree?
I would. I mean, I don't think I ran it last year. I considered running it, but I thought this was a particularly tough edition. But look, my horse, on his credentials from Europe, he should be competitive.
You said it took him a little while to figure it out. What did he have to figure out when he came here?
I just think, sometimes the tightness of the circuit here and also just the weather. I think when these horses come over from Europe in the middle of the summer, it can be quite tough on them.
What have you seen from him that gives you the indication he's sitting on a big race today?
He's a cool horse. I don't think he would have been ready to run much before today. I think from fitness and also just from his adjustment. And I'm really pleased to see how he's done in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah,
and he's worked well with some nice horses.
Yeah, you've done this for so long now, Graham. I can imagine it doesn't take you long when you get a new horse into the barn to kind of figure them out, does it?
No, and it's pretty exciting. I mean, I've been very fortunate to have some really nice horses sent to me from Europe, between the Niarchos family and the Wertheimers. I'm very fortunate to have these nice, already made horses come over from Europe.
Talking with trainer Graham Motion here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Graham, a couple of runners going in the Toronto Cup Stakes at Woodbine today, too. Zatip and Seraphos. Tell me a little bit about them.
Well, to be honest, I'm reaching a little bit here with both of them. They're both 3-year-olds that have won 2 races, and it's very tricky, as you know, to find races for 3-year-olds once they've won a couple, or they have to run against older horses in an allowance race. Seraphos has some grass experience. He didn't run great on it, but we also gelded him since those races. And my inclination is to think that probably the gelding has really what turns him around more than the surface. He handles the dirt. I'd be surprised if he doesn't handle the grass. His sister certainly handled the grass.
Yeah.
And with Zatip, this is a horse who's shown me a lot of ability. Last race was a bit of a disaster, sprinting down at Colonial. I don't know why he wouldn't handle the grass. And again, I'm just trying to looking to change things up with him. And this seemed like a good spot to do it on what's a good turf course in Canada.
But, it seems like, Graham, you're a guy that most people would look at and say, well, he's had so much success in the business. He has all the answers. But as you're talking about these horses that you're running today, you're kind of like, we're trying this. We're trying this. There's always that element when you're training racehorses of not knowing exactly what's going to happen when you do different things with them, right?
100%. I mean, horses can't talk. We're just like coaches, except the animals can't talk to us, so we have to figure it out for them. And I'm proved wrong regularly, and occasionally I'm right. And I'm fortunate enough to do it with some really nice horses and some great clients, some understanding clients, let's say.
In the previous segment, I was joined for our Road to the Breeders' Cup weekly segment by Rusty Arnold, and he was talking about Totally Boss, who is going in the stakes race, one of the stakes races down at Kentucky Downs today. Graham, you're a 4-time Breeders' Cup winner. Which horses can we look forward to seeing from the Graham Motion barn at the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland? At least which ones are you pointing for the Breeders' Cup?
True Valor, we've said that we would point for the Breeders' Cup after he was second at Saratoga. He's an older horse, and I just don't think it makes sense to run him before the Breeders' Cup. So right now, he's pointing for the Breeders' Cup Sprint on the turf. And I have a couple of 2-year-olds that I'm really hoping might step up in the next few days. We had a nice filly win at Colonial called G. Laurie, who is very impressive, who could run in the Natalma next weekend. And if she runs the way I hope she does, she could show up in the Breeders' Cup. So we have a couple of 2-year-olds coming up, and we'll be counting on them to step up.
I hope they all make it. It would be great to see multiple Graham Motion trainees over the 2 days of the Breeders' Cup World Championships. Graham, before I let you go, I want to get your thoughts on the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, who, somebody that had such an impact on the sport of thoroughbred racing, not just in Europe, but certainly here in the United States as well. Share your thoughts on her legacy and what she means to thoroughbred racing.
Yeah, I mean, thoroughbred racing was a huge part of her life, and I think particularly in England, they're really going to notice that they're going to miss her because she's been so influential on breeding and racing and all of the above. The whole aspect of her coming to Royal Ascot, that was a huge crowd draw, and I think it gave racing a lot of respect. I was fortunate enough to meet her twice, once at Royal Ascot and once at Windsor Castle, which is something I'll never forget. I mean, she was just very, when you actually met her in person, she was extremely down to earth, and you kind of had to pinch yourself and remind you that you were talking to the Queen and not to get too relaxed.
Yeah, what were those moments like, those brief conversations you had with her?
It's funny, when we were asked to go meet her at Royal Ascot, I was up in a box with my wife, and somebody from Ascot came and said, the Queen would like you to come down and meet her in the Royal Box. And I sort of said, of course, we'd love to. And I tried to get my wife to leave the room, and she said, I've got to stay and talk to these people. I can't leave. And I had to pull her aside and say, we're going to meet the Queen. So it's always been a funny story with us. So I sat and watched a race with her, which was, just to spend that kind of time with a lady of that stature was extraordinary.
What did you talk about? Was it all horses?
Pretty much all horses, yep. And then I met her the second time at Windsor Castle, and she wanted to talk to me about her trip to Churchill and how she said security were keeping her from going out on the balcony to watch the race. All she wanted to do was watch the race, she said, which was very amusing to have that conversation with her.
Well, you would never think that would be the case with the Queen. But boy, what a special lady, and she's definitely going to be missed. She lived a full life, and I know the industry will miss her as well. What do you think, Graham, looking at everything she was able to accomplish, what do you think her legacy will be when people start to think back on her impact on the sport?
Well, I think her own breeding program was hugely successful and is going to be very successful in the years going forward. She has some tremendous stock up and coming. I believe she won the Ascot Gold Cup a couple of years ago, which I think was a tremendous accomplishment for her. And, with the mystique of being the royal family winning that race was extraordinary. And I just think her presence at Ascot and the Epsom Derby is going to be hugely missed. That was part of going to Ascot and the English Derby was the fact that the royal family were there and the Queen was up in her royal box watching. And she took such pleasure in that and was so involved in racing.
Earlier I played a stretch call of Dunfermline winning the 1977 St. Leger, and that was the year that not only did he win the St. Leger, or did she win the St. Leger, but the Epsom Oaks as well, and really cool stuff with Dunfermline.
She really loved racing. I mean, that was a big part of her life, and we're going to miss her in our business for sure, in our sport.
Yep. Graham Motion here on HRRN. Graham, listen, appreciate the visit, appreciate your thoughts on Her Majesty, and really do wish you all the best going forward, and hopefully we'll catch up in Kentucky at the Breeders' Cup.
Thank you, Mike. Hope so.
All right. One of the classiest guys in the sport of thoroughbred racing for sure. And, he quietly, as I said, putting together a fantastic year. You heard him say that he would like it to be better, but it's better than it has been the past couple of years, and he'll try to continue that role later today. All right, when I come back, I'm going to turn our attention to the West Coast. We'll talk to trainer Doug O'Neill about his 2-year-olds going in the debutante and in the futurity. The futurity is tomorrow at Del Mar. It's their closing weekend. He has a couple in the debutante today, and he is loaded tomorrow with his runners on that Sunday program. We'll talk to him next. This is the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Millridge has a history of raising and selling racehorses, with 36 Grade 1 winners since 2000, including 2 Horse of the Years, a Kentucky Derby winner, and 7 Breeders' Cup winners. Spread throughout 5 books at the Keeneland September yearling sale, Millridge is offering a group of athletes by leading sires Uncle Mo, Into Mischief, and Curlin, as well as racehorse sires like Twirling Candy, Speightstown, and Constitution. Plus, yearlings by Oscar Performance, who has made a promising start with his 2-year-olds. Millridge, raising and selling racehorses.
The Royal Palm Meet is just heating up with summer thoroughbred racing at Gulfstream Park. Join us Friday through Sunday for heart-pounding racing excitement and delectable hospitality. Enjoy the races outdoors at our new Carousel Club, or cool off in a private suite, or our trackside restaurant, 10 Palms. For stake schedules, reservations, and ticketing, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Horsemen, handicappers, and racing fans won't want to miss a single day of the 7-day FanDuel meet at Kentucky Downs in early September. Thanks to the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund, registered Kentucky breds will run for $150,000 in maiden races, with allowance races starting at $160,000. With 17 stakes totaling $10.7 million, you are not going to want to miss a day. Reserved seats on sale at KentuckyDowns.com. There's Unique, and then there's Kentucky Downs.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 7 millionaires. With over 10% stakes performers, his recent top runners include Tarabi, placed in the Grade 1 Spinaway and Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, Grade 2 winner Plum Ali, multi-millionaire Shivaji, plus these standout performers. Now his biggest book in the past decade will be 3-year-olds in 2022. A proven value sire, First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
This is Jockey Orlando Boca Chica, and you are listening to the Horse Racing Radio Network.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Coming to the quarter pole now, Procrastination goes on with it, leads at 3 parts of the length. Dazzling Dominica second, Absolutely Zero, Satin Doll trying to get involved late, and Vegas Magic at the rail. Any one of 5 can win it. Procrastination just in front. Vegas Magic chasing gamely on the outside now as well. Down the center, Dazzling Dominica. Procrastination hanging on. Vegas Magic is closing. Vegas Magic and a getter. Here's the wire, and Vegas Magic and Abel Cedillo have won the Sorrento Stakes. Procrastination second. Dazzling Dominica third, and then Satin Doll.
Trevor Denman with the call of Vegas Magic, winning the Grade 2 Sorrento at Del Mar. She is a perfect 3 for 3. She won that race quite easily by a length and a quarter, and she is one of 2 horses entered for trainer Doug O'Neill in this afternoon's Grade 1 Del Mar debutante. Tomorrow, he will turn his attention to the Del Mar Futurity, and he has a maiden going in that race by the name of Mixto, and he has 3 horses entered into the Del Mar Juvenile Turf Stakes tomorrow. That's a Grade 3, so we'll get a chance to talk to Doug here in just a few minutes. We are efforting Doug. He's going to join us live from Southern California here in just a few minutes. We really appreciate him taking the time on what has to be a very busy day. I think he's participating in almost every single race on that program. Again, it is closing weekend at Del Mar. Let's update you on the poll question while we have a moment now. So the question of the day, and Lee, Doug said go ahead and give him a call, so we'll get him on the line for you here. But let me update the poll question. The question of the day, if you could own one horse currently in training other than Flightline, taking the big horse out of the equation, which horse would you choose? And so many of you taking time to either email the show or to do that on social media. And Nest is, I think, the leader in the clubhouse now. Several of you saying that Nest would be the one that you would love to own, including our very own Pontiff at the Pick 4, Jude Feld. He'll take Nest. Zandon getting a vote. I like that. New York bred, Maple Leaf Mel, undefeated. Getting a shout out here. Forte, 2-year-old with promise, hands down. It is Forte. Life is Good. Another one for Forte. Just flipping through quickly. And Epicenter. And you heard Rusty Arnold earlier. He said Epicenter would be his play. If he were to own one horse other than Flightline, it would be Epicenter. So keep those coming. You can do that at HRRN on Twitter, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook. And if you don't do social media, you can email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net. Let me know which horse currently in training, other than Flightline, you would like to own. If you can only own one, who is it going to be? Doug O'Neill is with us now. He's busy on the West Coast. I can't believe nobody said Hot Rod Charlie yet, Doug.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How is nobody picking Hot Rod Charlie? If you could only own one horse in training other than Flightline, it's got to be Hot Rod Charlie, right?
It would be if I had anything to do with the voting, yes. Yeah, a blue-collar, cool, hard-knocking horse, and blessed to be part of him, that's for sure.
Yeah, what a great horse. Where are we going to see him next, Doug?
If all goes well, the Lucas Stakes there at Churchill Downs on October 1st.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be great to see Chuck back in action again. I know he's created an awful lot of fans around the country, too.
Yeah, he's. I think we all got a little bit of him in us as far as he's just a lunch pail, hard hat. Just shows up, gives everything he's got, and he's always right there, and he's a Grade 1 winner, so it's nothing to knock about his resume, but we're hoping there's a lot more wins in him coming up.
Yeah, you're going to try and add another Grade 1 to your resume later today. That's the Del Mar Debutante, 7 furlongs on the main track. You have 2 entrants, Vegas Music, the Grade 2 Sorrento winner, a perfect 3 for 3, and then Satin Doll, who has some star power behind her. But let's start with Vegas Music. How impressive has she been to you so far?
Yeah, 3 for 3. She's by Good Magic, who's just been a hell of a freshman stallion this year. So, she's done nothing wrong. She's won near the front. She's come from off the pace. She's beat the boys. She's got a win over this track. So we're very optimistic she can keep going. She continues to train really well, and Abel Cedillo stays in the saddle. So we're excited.
Yeah, the win over the track, we hear that from time to time. How significant is that with a course like Del Mar?
48. Oh, it's really big because this. Oh, excuse me, 1 second, Mike. You're going to go 5 from the half, Sal. 5 from the half. A good 5. Good gallop up. It's a track down here. Just being right on the ocean, it can be a little bit humid, and so some horses love it, some don't. So having a win over the track is I always think a big edge, and both Satin Doll and Vegas Magic have that going for them. So now we just got the Baffert Monster. We got to try to keep that one at bay, and we're optimistic we can.
For any of you who have ever wondered what it's like to be a horse trainer and try to accommodate the media too, you're hearing Doug O'Neill do it live with us here this morning from Del Mar. Obviously training, he's working at this time. And Doug, I'm not going to keep you very long because I know you're busy. Just tell me about Satin Doll and the Debutante today and what it's like training for that ownership group.
Such a great ownership. You got Rick Pitino, Mick Cronin, Chip Kelly, and just a bunch of other great guys that we might not know their names, but they're just good, successful people, and they're fun people to be around. So I'm blessed to train for them, and because they're coaches or whatever they do in life, they're good sportsmen, and they're just so excited that this is the first year they put this group together, and to have a filly in the Debutante, they're all so grateful and pumped up, and so am I. So I think she's got a good chance. Last time out, we took her out of her game a little bit and had her maybe a little bit closer up than she wants to be. So I see her falling to the back of the pack early on, and then Cal Frey getting her to the outside and hopefully marching solid down the lane.
Tomorrow, the Del Mar Futurity, Mixto, a maiden going in there. Why take the shot?
He's a really nice colt. A colt we've been excited about for quite a long time, and he debuted just about 8 days ago, and didn't have the best of trips and came running on. He just really ran the last 3-4 furlongs, came out of it great. took a blood on him. His blood looked great, and talked to Mr. Kelly, and he was willing to take a chance. I think he's that good. I wish we had more experience under his belt, but he is an extremely talented colt, so we'll see if we can't get him to the Breeders' Cup. That's the ultimate goal with a horse like Mixto.
You also have Ajiz, Syntactic, and Tahoma in the Grade 3 Juvenile Turf Stakes tomorrow on closing day at Del Mar. What do we think? 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, why not? Why not? That's the way we thought. Tahoma's got the most experience of those three. Ajiz is an up-and-comer. He really turned it around from start 1 to start 2. So, it's three talented horses, but Tahoma I would probably give an edge just because of his experience.
Doug O'Neill, ladies and gentlemen. Doug, as always, appreciate the time. I know you're busy, so go train those horses, and we'll look forward to seeing you up the road, my friend.
Sounds good. You got it. Take care. Thanks for having me.
All right, good luck. Yeah, busy day for Doug O'Neill. That was fantastic, right? You want to look into what it's like to be a trainer? And, I've told you many, many times on this program that one of the things, ever since I started nearly 20 years ago on radio, one of the things I have always struggled with, and always one of my faults maybe even as a media member, is that when I'm asking trainers to come on this program or to do interviews with us, it always seems to be at the time, let's face it, this show is 8 to 11 a.m. That's when trainers are working. And for every trainer like Doug O'Neill that takes time to be with me during this time period, man, I can't thank them enough. I mean, I always hate to ask them because I know that they're working. I know they're busy. So to take 15 minutes out of their schedule when they're at work, man, I appreciate that so much. And my thanks to Doug for doing that. And you heard him talk about, Vegas Magic, and he thinks Satin Doll actually has a shot in that Del Mar debutante today. But he's going to have to contend with the Bob Baffert trainees. Bob has won that race more than any trainer in history. I believe he has 10 wins or something like that. It's a record in the Del Mar debutante. He's going to be tough again. He has Home Cooking, who is the 9-5 favorite in that race. He's going to be tough again later today. Home Cooking under Mike Smith won his previous race, broke his maiden by 9 1/4 lengths. So now the waters get deeper, but certainly he's in the right hands if he's going to win that Del Mar debutante later today. And I loved, you heard him. So one of the things when Jude Feld, the Pontiff of the Pick Four, was joining me as my co-host on these programs, one of the things that he and I would often talk about during interviews with trainers would be reading between the lines and hearing them change their tone when they started talking about a certain horse. And you heard Doug do that. When I got to the Del Mar Futurity, tomorrow's feature race, and I asked him about his maiden Mixto, and my question to him was, why take the shot? Right? This is a horse that has only had one start, and he finished 4th that day. Got off slow, found himself back to the pack. He's still learning, obviously. But Doug perked up, and his tone immediately changed. He said, he is a really nice horse. They think a lot of this horse. Don't be surprised if Mixto runs a huge race tomorrow. Don't be surprised if he's the one standing in the winner's circle either. Reading between the lines, we have found that to be true many, many times with trainers over the years. And Doug changed his tone dramatically when we got to Mixto. That race, by the way, comes up tomorrow as the 10th race on the program, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 out on the West Coast. It's 7/8 mile, the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity. All right, when I come back, going to take a look at some historical dates in racing history and then get you ready for the third hour of the program. I will tell you all about it next. Plenty more to come here on the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
With the fullest fields in the country and quality racing year-round, there's never been a better time to reap the rewards of breeding and racing in Kentucky. Purse money in Kentucky is at an all-time high, and our average purse per race outpaces California, Florida, and New York. Registering your horse with the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund ensures that you'll be racing for the maximum purse amounts available for registered Kentucky breds. Kentucky breds. Breed them, raise them, race them. We all win.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Well, John, the stage is set for the final transaction.
That's right, Joe. Heather's moment has arrived, and you just hope all that training pays off.
Heather lays down her purchase, but Randy rings it up as slowly as he can.
He is a wily veteran.
It gives Heather's eyes the chance to wander.
Uh-oh.
Yep, she's looking at the cigarettes.
There's nothing good back there. Quit now, and in 5 years, your odds of getting certain cancers drop 50%.
Meanwhile, Randy's stone-faced. He's giving nothing away. He just stands there, wetting his cashier's finger on that sponge.
Heather toes the rubber.
Here we go. Heather's arm is in motion. But instead of pointing at the back wall, she just grabs the gum off the counter.
That's a slick move.
Heather back. She is out of there. Even Randy tips his cap to Heather. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally wants you to reduce your risk for cancer.
Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Want to get the latest HRRN content directly on your computer or mobile device? Then subscribe to our podcast using the Podbean app or Apple Podcasts. Just go to hrrn.podbean.com on your computer and click follow, or download the Podbean app and search HRRN. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and listen to our latest episodes anytime. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our podcasts today.
Hi, this is Larry Colmus, and you're listening to the Horse Racing Radio Network.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Mike Penna back with you on this Saturday morning. One more hour coming your way. I'll get to that in just a few minutes after some historical dates in racing history and a quick update on the poll question. Question of the day, if you could own one horse currently in training other than Flightline, which horse would you choose? Mark writes in via email and says it's a no-brainer. Nest would be the pick for Mark, and we appreciate that, Mark, and his logic saying that she could be great on the track for 2 or 3 more years, and her foals should be excellent afterwards. Yeah, great logic, and why not? I mean, Nest has been far and away the most popular choice to that question today, but there have been some other great answers. You can keep them coming at HRRN on Twitter, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, and still time to email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net. This is a weekend that has had an impact on our sport, and the past couple of days certainly have some notable significance in racing history. Let's take a look back at those historical dates now. We begin with Thursday, this past Thursday, September 8th, 1990. Bill Shoemaker scored his first stakes victory, not as a jockey, as a trainer, when he sent a 5-year-old mare, Baldomero, the Irish bred, to victory in the Oceanitas Handicap at Del Mar. That was September 8th, 1990. September 8th, 2002, this is a cool one. On his 41st birthday, jockey Mario Pino became the 18th rider to earn 5,000 winners by visiting the winner's circle twice at Delaware Park. Pino got his 5,000th win when he guided Outdone to victory in the 9th race. Today, September 10th, 1999, is a day that many people will remember because it was the day, the anniversary of the day, that Churchill Downs Incorporated completed its purchase of Hollywood Park Racetrack and Casino, including approximately 240 acres of land at that site in Inglewood, California. Of course, Hollywood Park, no longer there. September 11th, 1976, tomorrow, the anniversary of this particular incident. I love this. I think I actually read this one to you last year and I like it so much I'm bringing it back. Tomorrow, the anniversary. In the third race at Latonia, jockey John Oldham and his wife Susie Piku became the first husband and wife riding team to compete in a parimutuel race together. Oldham finished second aboard Harvey's Hope, and Piku finished 11th with My Girl Carla. That was September 11th, 1976. Tomorrow, also the anniversary of jockey Early Fires earning his 3,000th career win. That was aboard Volga Ace in the fourth race at Arlington Park. That was September 11th, 1982. So happy anniversary to all of those folks that we get a chance to look back on this very special day in thoroughbred racing. Hour 2 coming up shortly kicks off with the TwinSpires Triple play. Scott Shapiro from TwinSpires is going to be with me to give you 3 races that you can bet at TwinSpires later this afternoon. One of those comes from Kentucky Downs. His other 2 are going to be out at Del Mar later today. So stay tuned for that coming up in just a few minutes at 10 Eastern. 10:20, Kurt Becker takes you on his popular stroll through racing history. And at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin. This week, a special 1-year anniversary edition of the show. That's right. We have been subjecting you to that program for 52 weeks now. And it has become one of the most popular segments that we have on this Equine Forum every single week. And I can't thank everybody enough, all of you out there in HRRN Nation, for helping to make that segment so popular. It is presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program and the College of Business, and I know that many of you have signed up for their programs because you have heard our promotion here on the show, and we appreciate that. Without our sponsors, we don't have a show. We don't have a network. It's been like that from day one. And for each of you who have taken the time to support our sponsors who support us and make this show and all of our shows possible, I thank you here this morning on the Equine Forum. It has certainly been an incredible ride, and it's only possible by the support of all of our sponsors. So stay tuned for that. We're going to get into several different things on that I Ask, They Answer segment, including Flightline. There are many people after that performance last weekend who came out and said Flightline is the greatest horse in Secretariat. Is that true? I'll ask Dale and Tim to weigh in on that question in this week's Right or Wrong segment included in I Ask, They Answer. They'll say, is that right or is that wrong? We're going to find out. They'll share their thoughts on Queen Elizabeth II and her legacy. They're going to talk about whether Flightline, if indeed he goes to the Breeders' Cup next, if all stays on track and he gets to the Breeders' Cup Classic like he's supposed to, he'll have 3 starts in 2022. Should a horse with only 3 starts in a season be voted Horse of the Year? Should he even be in consideration for that title? I think he should, but I'm going to ask Dale and Tim what they think about that. And then Irad Ortiz Jr. and Chad Brown both walking away with the leading jockey and trainer titles respectively at this year's Saratoga meet. They have been dominant. The Ortiz brothers have been dominant at the top of the jockey standings for many years. Chad Brown and Todd Pletcher have owned the training title at Saratoga since, I believe, 2009. I don't think there's been anybody else other than Chad Brown or Todd Pletcher to be leading trainer. Which jockey is going to be the next to derail the Ortiz brothers at the top of the list at Saratoga? And which trainer is most likely to be the next one to bump Chad and Todd from their top spot? Those are a couple of questions I will ask Dale and Tim on that special 1-year anniversary edition of I Ask, They Answer at 10:30 Eastern. I want to remind you that if you missed any of the conversations on this show so far, and it has been busy, Jeff Maday was with me from Canterbury Park talking about their huge BCBC Handicapping Contest coming up later this week. Jane Lyon from Summerwind Farm was here in the first hour of the program. What a visit. Talking about Flightline. She's the breeder of Flightline. She is also involved with the ownership of Flightline. That was a tremendous visit with her. My thanks to Jane. If you missed that interview, or you missed Rusty Arnold, Graham Motion, or Doug O'Neill this hour, you can go back to our website, horseracingradio.net, and check out the podcast of this show and all of our shows. They're also there for you on every major podcast platform. So however you listen to your podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Google or Podbean, whatever it might be, go check it out and take a listen at your leisure. And that includes, by the way, all of those I Ask, They Answer segments broken out individually, and Kurt Becker Stroll Through Racing History stories. They're about 5 minutes long every week. And Kurt does an unbelievable job of weaving together stories of horses that we've seen over the years. Just incredible. Go back and take a listen on our website and on those podcast platforms. 2 hours are in the books, 1 more hour still to come. And as I mentioned, it kicks off with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Scott Shapiro going to join me from TwinSpires to give you 3 races to keep an eye on later today. Again, Kurt Becker Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20, and at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin. If your local station is leaving us at this time, no problem. You can continue listening to the 3rd hour of the show nationwide on Sirius 216, XM 204, in the Louisville, Kentucky market on ESPN 680, or on your computer, your phone, your tablet, with our live streaming at horseracingradio.net. Hour 3 of the Equine Forum comes up next, right after I pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network.
From the rail to your radio, this is the Horse Racing Radio Network.
And it's Grace Adler drawing clear in the lane. Dance to the music a second, but it's Grace Adler out here moving like a winner. Grace Adler, a scintillating performance in the TBG Del Mar debutante.
With 1 furlong left to go, Field Pass trying hard on the inside. Ramsey Solution trying to hold. Ramsey Solution ahead in front. Here's Field Pass down to the inside. Field Pass surging. Ramsey Solution up and down. Field Pass. Field Pass from Ramsey Solution. Photo finish of the BWI International Turf Cup.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
And it's Smart Remark and Totally Boss. On the outside, Leinster has moved up past Stormy Liberal, and just in behind them is Imprimus. Ortiz will have to weave some magic. He's blocked at the 16th, and Totally Boss skips clear from Smart Remark. Then Imprimus getting through late, but Totally Boss wins, coming away almost 2 lengths.
Here's Red Knight, Zulu Alpha on the outside, and Arklow down toward the rail. The 3 of them are right together as they come into the final furlong. Arklow, Red Knight, Zulu Alpha, 3rd, it's Arklow. Arklow's got it close to home from Red Knight. Arklow and Florent Giroux have won.
Now here's Mike Penna.
Have we covered some ground on today's show, or have we covered some ground? Yeah, we certainly have, talking about racing all over the country, at Kentucky Downs, at Pimlico, at Del Mar. Even got a chance to tell you about a huge handicapping contest coming up in Minnesota at Canterbury Park. Welcome back to hour number 3. Mike Penna, bearing in the backstretch with you on this Saturday morning. Far from finished on what has been a very busy program. Coming up in just a couple moments, you're going to hear from Scott Shapiro as he brings you this week's TwinSpires Triple Play. 3 races you can keep an eye on later today. Kurt Becker Stroll Through Racing History coming up at 10:20, and at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer with trainer Dale Romans, turf writer Tim Wilkin, and a special edition of the program today. We're going to cover a lot of topics, but this is the 1-year anniversary of I Ask, They Answer. We kicked it off on September 11th of last year. Today, 52 weeks in the books after this morning's program, and really looking forward to that coming up with Tim and Dale at 10:30 Eastern Time. If you missed any portion of this program, any of the interviews I've brought your way so far, all you have to do is head back to the website, horseracingradio.net. You can check out the podcast at your leisure. That's horseracingradio.net. You can also do it on every major podcast platform. So however you access your podcast, simply search for Horse Racing Radio Network. Follow us there, and you can get your podcast every single time a new one is posted. Don't forget, too, you can follow us on social media at HRRN on Twitter, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook as well. Well, it is time now for this week's TwinSpires Triple Play. And as I mentioned, I welcome in Scott Shapiro, longtime handicapper at TwinSpires, does a great job over there. You can catch him on TV when they're running at Churchill as well, alongside his sidekick, Joe Christofek. Scott, appreciate the time, my friend, as always.
Good to be back with you, Mike. I'm hoping my horses cover a lot less ground than you did on the show thus far today. So,
save ground
is more important. Yes. I'm hoping to save some ground instead of being 6 wide, if you will.
You have been poring over past performances at Kentucky Downs and at Del Mar to bring our listeners these 3 races today. And you have selected the 9th race at Kentucky Downs, which is the Turf Sprint, goes right around 5:10 Eastern. The 10th and the 11th race at Del Mar later today. A $40,000 claiming race is race 10. That's 6 furlongs on the main track, right around 8:48 Eastern. And then race 11, a maiden special weight, 1 mile on the turf at 9:18 Eastern. So some very interesting selections on your part, and I can't wait to hear who you like. Let's kick it off with that Turf Sprint. We'll go in chronological order. The Turf Sprint at Kentucky Downs, again, race number 9. The favorites roll going to go to Arrest Me Red on the far outside, post number 12 for Wesley Ward and Erod Ortiz Jr.
Yeah, great card at Kentucky Downs. The rails will be down for the first time at the meet, and we don't get to see turf sprinters race for $1 million very often. The Breeders' Cup, of course, is one of them, and this turf sprint, the Grade 2 event at Kentucky Downs, is another. And here you mentioned Arrest Me Red, Mike, a deserving 9-5 favorite. Has done very little wrong since entering the Wesley Ward barn. But 9-5 in a turf sprint at Kentucky Downs is a little bit too short for me to want to swallow in here. Not a horse I'm excited overly about fading, but I do think a California import by the name of Brand, the number 8 horse in here, makes for an intriguing alternative. And what I like most about this horse is 2 things. I don't see a lot of speed signed on in here, especially if number 13, Artemis City Limits, does not draw in off the also eligible list. We'll get those scratches shortly, I'm sure. But Brand, to me, is one that has some tactical speed and is cutting back in distance. And I like cutback at this 6 furlong, in the 6.5 furlong races at Kentucky Downs. We see more of the 6.5. They play a little longer, I think, than traditional turf sprints. So having the foundation of a 2-turn event should bode well for this 4-year-old gelding. For John Sadler, comes in off a stalk and kind of an even effort, going 2 turns in the $100,000 Wicker, a 1-mile event over the Del Mar side there, where he ran a good third at odds of 3-1. And I think he's going to really appreciate this 6 furlong trip at Kentucky Downs coming in from Southern California. Vincent Cheminot, the rider, I think better than his stats thus far would suggest, and has a pretty bright future in here coming from France. So I think Brand at 6-1 is going to offer pretty good value in today's turf sprint at Kentucky Downs.
With Kentucky Downs being such a unique configuration, and we know how the horses have to kind of go up and down throughout the race, the way that course rolls, there are only 2 horses in this race with a win at Kentucky Downs. Do you put a lot of stock in the horse for course angle when you're looking at a race like this on this particular track?
I think you have to some extent because, like you said, it is so different than usual. The undulation is the key, and horses that have proven to like this kind of configuration are certainly at some sort of an advantage. Now, with Brand, he's never been over the course, but what I do think matters most here, if they have the form, which is rare, at Santa Anita down the hill is probably the closest thing we have in the States. That's a little more traditional, but there is still some undulation. It is kind of a weird configuration, too, and Brand does have form at Santa Anita. In fact, some of his best races are down there turf course. He won the Grade 3 Daytona on May 29th, and then he won the Siren Lure on April 10th. So I like that part of it, but I definitely think it's worth noticing if horses have run well or not over this course.
Earlier in the program, I spent some time talking about Totally Boss, who was a really cool story in here. He won the race in 2019. After his 2021 campaign, about midway through, he was retired. He spent about a year on the shelf at his owner's farm and then was brought back into training again when he was running around and playing on the farm. They thought that was a good sign, and here he is with a chance to win it again. Do you give any chance to number 10, Totally Boss, the 2019 champion in this race?
I do. He does have a win in 2 starts over the course. I know my colleague Joe Christofek, who you mentioned a moment ago, who follows Kentucky Downs much closer than I do and has for a long time. He likes this horse. He picked on top. And I thought the last race could be treated as a prep. So I got going 5.5 furlongs in the Ellis Turf Sprint, $100,000 event there. So a little bit concerned that he hasn't quite gotten back to those figures of 2020 and 2019 when he was arguably the best sprinter and turf sprinter in the country. And like you said, a great story. Don't know if we'll get 12-1 like we will do on the morning line, but after my pick and the favorite, Arrest Me Red, I think Totally Boss is right there as the next likeliest winner.
All right, so it is number 8, Bran, the top pick for the TwinSpires Triple play for this week's guest, Scott Shapiro. That is in the 9th race at Kentucky Downs, the Turf Sprint. Let's move out to Del Mar. Your next 2 coming from Del Mar, races 10 and 11 respectively. We'll start with the 10th race. That's a $40,000 claiming event, 6 furlongs on the main track. How'd you see that one, Scott?
Yeah, 2 full field races to end the last Saturday of the Del Mar meet. Quick shout out to their racing office and David Jerkins for just putting together a great meet out in Southern California where things have been a little challenging of late. In the 10th, I do like number 1, Stormy Pattern, 8-1 on the morning line. I think there's a lot of speed, Mike, in this 6 furlong affair for 3-year-olds. And Stormy Pattern, I'm hoping, can relax along the inside in a mid-pack spot. He's raced once over this Del Mar main track, and it was a poor effort, but it was against better. And maybe more importantly, it was chasing a hot pace at 2 turns. Now, you may see 1-mile races in this one's past, but those are at Gulfstream Park, which is a 1-turn configuration, where that last one at Del Mar was a 2-turn. Now he drops in class. He has a race over the track. He's been freshened up after that disappointing first effort in Southern California. And I think he's going to sit that trip that I'm hopeful for. Hopefully he can relax along the inside and not get caught up in the contentious early going. So at 8-1, I like number 1, Stormy Pattern in the 10th.
Yeah, it seems to me if he reverts back to his form from late 2021 and early this year when he was in training with Saffie Joseph Jr. at Gulfstream Park, look, he was running against state-bred competition, but he was competing against some pretty good competition there. If he reverts back to that form, his numbers look like they do stack up really, really well in here.
Absolutely. I'm a big Thoroughgraph guy. Excuse me, the 2 numbers at Gulfstream before the last effort, probably good enough to win this race. And also another thing to keep in mind, those last couple of races have been against 3-year-olds and up.
Yep.
Now he gets back just against 3-year-olds. At this time of year, he starts to be, questionable how much that really matters, but it certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah, okay, so number 1, Stormy Pattern in race 10 at Del Mar, 8-1 on the morning line. So we start with 6-1, 8-1. I can't wait to see what you have in store for this last race, this maiden special weight event, 1 mile on the turf course.
We're going to take an even bigger swing here, Mike. So we set you up with a 6-1, 8-1. Now we got a 15-1. And this maiden special weight event, I think there's some talented horses in here that are going to take a lot of money and have good running lines. And, that starts with number 9, Kitty Katana, the 5-2 morning line favorite. And then you've got the 2 Leisure Wear and 3 Velvet, both at 4-1. All of them have run races that you could argue would be fast enough to win this, but they seem to lack a will to win and have burned a lot of money, meaning they were expected to win or run very well in those races and were just unable to get the job done. These are the kind of maiden races I like to take chances with horses I think have a little more upside. And the one that I like here is number 5, Maeve of Cano. I think I'm pronouncing that right. This European import makes her second start off the bench, second start in the States as well for trainer Patty Gallagher. And the maiden the maiden first effort here in the States was on August 20th. And like a lot of Europeans, didn't get out of the gate in good order to start off her stateside career. Didn't run all that well in the middle part of the races either, but I think she kind of picked things up late and really galloped out well. And I think it sets her up for a big effort in her second start off the bench here. So if she can move forward and these other horses kind of continue to show the lack of will to win, I think it makes sense to not only bet number 5, Maeve of Cano, to win in a big price, but maybe play her over the 3 horses that I mentioned in Leisure Wear, Velvet, and Kitty Katana, because they're very likely to run their races.
A lot of rain in the San Diego area yesterday and even into early this morning. So if this turf course, which probably will have some type of give to it, that could favor a horse like Maeve of Cano for sure, because she started her career in Ireland, and you have to figure that the turf course she was running on there was a bit softer. I know her second career start came on an artificial synthetic surface, but you would think that would favor her if that's indeed the case.
Right. She ran well in that debut effort in Ireland at Leopardstown, which was just a year and a couple months ago. But that was over a good going, running third at 14-1 in a 13-horse field. obviously rain and moisture in either surface at Del Mar or any time in Southern California is a big wild card because most of the horses don't have experience, over the off going. So we'll have to see later today how things shake out. But I'm hopeful that they stay on the turf for this one and that we can swing away at a big price in the finale.
Yeah, 6-1, 8-1, 15-1. What a parlay that would be if Scott Shapiro could come through with all three. But, the cool thing is, even if you're playing these races, just individually and keying on these horses on your top selections, there's an opportunity. And folks can use this as a guide too, Scott. They can take your top pick, they can put it in exactas or trifectas or use it in multi-race wagers. And who knows, there's a chance to really catch a big ticket on some of those exotic wagers too.
Exactly. And people that do the line of work that I do, I think that's always kind of what I'm hoping to do. Not necessarily tell people what to bet, but maybe give them something they haven't seen to add on to their opinions, or in races where they don't have a strong opinion, make sure they include the horse that I like. But certainly some morning line prices here that would make for a good day if we can even get, one or two of them home, let alone all three.
What's your favorite bet?
I'm still a major sucker for a pick five. I mean, it's kind of been my biggest hits over the years and kind of is what allowed me to move away from my other career, a couple of big ones, and go into this, several years ago. But my secret favorite bet is one that I only get to play at Del Mar each year, and that's the pick place all. I've had a lot of success with that wager. They don't really carry it at many other places. I think Hawthorne might have it still. But that's where you have to pick the first or second place horse in every race on the card. And I think there's a lot of interesting game theory on top of handicapping that goes into it. So those are my main two. I'm a big horizontal guy.
Yeah, one heck of a handicapper, too. That is Scott Shapiro from TwinSpires with your TwinSpires Triple play. We'll encourage you once again to head over to TwinSpires.com and to play those three races later this afternoon. Who knows? Use that as a guideline. Hook them up with some other horses. Maybe you catch a big trifecta, a big superfecta, or even a nice exacta. Kentucky Downs race 9. He'll go with number 8, Bran, at 6-1. Scott likes number 1, Stormy Pattern, at 8-1 in the 10th race at Del Mar. And in race 11 at Del Mar, we take an even bigger swing, as he put it, with number 5, Maeve of Canoe, who is 15-1 on the morning line. Scott, would be one heck of a score if we can pull this one off, my friend. I really do appreciate the visit, as always.
Always fun to join you, Mike. I hope you enjoy the great weekend of racing starting today, and have a good weekend overall.
All right, we'll talk to you in a few weeks, my friend.
Sounds great.
All right, Scott Shapiro here with this week's TwinSpires Triple play. Again, head over to TwinSpires.com to take a look at those races. It is not a wager you can make specifically at TwinSpires. You don't see a TwinSpires Triple play when you go there, but as I tell you every week, those are 3 races that you can keep an eye on and bet individually or parlay them or however you want to do it later this afternoon. All right, when I come back, it's time for Kurt Becker to take you on his weekly stroll through racing history. It's a cool story, as always. All of his stories are fantastic, but this one this week, I think you're really going to enjoy it. And then I ask, they answer, the 1-year anniversary edition with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin. That comes up at 10:30 Eastern Time. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
A series that just means more now has even more meaning. The Breeders' Cup Challenge Series.
As an owner, I love the Breeders' Cup Win Your In Series.
Your chance to win an automatic berth to the world stage, playing out in over 3 new regions.
They're off.
West.
They're into the stretch.
Midwest.
Fighting on hard with a furlong to run.
East.
On the far outside, he just kicked it in.
Each with 1 win-in-your-in race per division.
And a battle at the gate pole.
Where the finish line is just the beginning.
They're off.
Win a regional Challenge Series race and earn an automatic entry to the Breeders' Cup World Championships at Keeneland on November 4th and 5th.
Automatic berth takes a lot of pressure off.
With pre-entry and entry fees paid. And travel and nominator awards worth thousands. The Breeders' Cup Challenge Series. It just means more.
Airdrie Stud's Bo Liam has proven to be one of the hottest first-crop sires in central Kentucky. A gorgeous son of the leading young sire Liam's Map, Bo Liam arrived on the national stage with one of the most impressive debuts in the history of Churchill Downs, stopping the clock in 1:08.3, marking the fastest 6 furlongs in history at Churchill. His next 2 races were equally dazzling, as he posted 106 and 107 Beyer speed figures, placing him firmly amongst the fastest 3-year-olds of his generation. The brilliance and support to make it big. Airdrie Stud's Bo Liam. Think about it.
The Royal Palm Meet is just heating up with summer thoroughbred racing at Gulfstream Park. Join us Friday through Sunday for heart-pounding racing excitement and delectable hospitality. Enjoy the races outdoors at our new Carousel Club, or cool off in a private suite, or our trackside restaurant, 10 Palms. For stake schedules, reservations, and ticketing, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
It's time now to shine the spotlight on the Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week.
They come for home. Slow down Andy's hanging on. Spycatcher on the outside. A flying finish from Belnikov. Slow down Andy's held them all off and slowed down Andy, a tenacious winner.
Slow Down Andy, the son of Darley Stallion Nyquist, with the victory in the Grade 2 Del Mar Derby. That winning effort makes him your Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week. Darley Stallion Nyquist, Grade 2 Del Mar Derby victor Slow Down Andy is Nyquist's 3rd graded stakes winner of 2022. And no stallion under $75,000 can match Nyquist's 9% graded stakes horses from starters. Plus, his $525,000 September yearling, Powerful, scored in a maiden special weight at Saratoga. Take the hint and be sure to inspect the Nyquist yearlings at the upcoming sales. Learn more about Nyquist and all the Darley Stallions by visiting DarleyAmerica.com.
This is Florent Giroux, and you are listening to HRRN.
Hello, I'm Kurt Becker. Thanks for joining me as I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. She was a champion filly from the first crop by Triple Crown winner Seattle Slew. She won 5 career starts by a combined 46.5 lengths. And 40 years ago this month, she won the Del Mar Debutante. Her name was Landalucy. Foaled on April 11, 1982 at Spendthrift Farm in Lexington, Kentucky, where her sire stood at stud, Landalucy was bred by Spendthrift in partnership with Francis Kernan. Consigned to Keeneland's July yearling sale, she was purchased for $650,000 by Bob French and Barry Beal of Midland, Texas. Sent to trainer D. Wayne Lucas, Landalucy was named for a guide at a Spanish hunting lodge once visited by her owners. The filly was described as long and tall. Lucas said she was like a sports car. All one had to do was step on the accelerator and boom, it just happened. He added, "If you tell me there's a faster horse in the world right now, I'll pay to catch a plane to go see him." With Lafitte Pinkai Jr. in the irons, Landalucy made her debut on July 3, 1982 at Hollywood Park. She won by 7 lengths, covering 6 furlongs in 1 minute 8 and 1/5 seconds. A couple of hours later at the same track, top sprinters in the Hollywood Express for 3-year-olds and up would cover the same distance in a time 3/5 of a second slower. 1 week later, Landalucy returned for the Grade 2 Hollywood Lassie as the 1-5 favorite. Her performance would leave a crowd of 45,000 spectators in amazement. Harry Henson with the call.
Turning for home, it's Landalucy taking the lead, drawing out by a length and a half of Barzalis, second by a length of Princess Lurula, third on the outside, then Carambola, and bold outline into the stretch. It's Landalucy in front, drawing out by 8 lengths. Barzalis second by a neck, Princess Lurula third on the outside, and bold outline on the rail. Landalucy just galloping by 12 lengths. Landalucy all by herself. Bold outline on the inside. Landalucy is the winner by 15 lengths.
Posting a time of 1 minute 8 seconds flat for 6 furlongs, Landa Lucy had become the fastest juvenile in the history of Hollywood Park and the fastest 2-year-old filly in North American history at the distance. The official chart would show her margin of victory that day to be 21 lengths, which ranked as the second biggest ever in a stakes in Hollywood Park's history. It would be nearly 2 months before Landa Lucy made her next start, but that moment would come on September 5th in the Grade 2 Del Mar Debutante at a distance of 1 mile. A crowd of 28,000 had gathered at Del Mar that day, and they would make Landa Lucy the 1-5 favorite. It was said that Landa Lucy entered the paddock that afternoon and eyed the crowd with both intellect and disdain. She was attractive, unflappable. She was described as an eye-catching blend of artistry and brilliance. Once again, Harry Henson with the call.
Turning into the stretch, it's Landa Lucy taking the lead on the outside, drawing out by a length. Issues and answers is second by 5 lengths. Grand Harena third, and Shirley Brown. Landa Lucy in front, drawing out by 5 lengths. Issues and answers, Grand Harena and Shirley Brown. Landa Lucy just galloping, and Landa Lucy is the winner by 7.5 lengths.
Despite a 7-week layoff and despite going 2 turns for the first time, Landa Lucy once again had dominated her rivals. Following a win in the Anokia Stakes at Santa Anita in stakes record time of 1:21.4 for 7 furlongs, Landa Lucy made the final start of her career on October 23, 1982 in the Grade 1 Oakleaf. She was made the first 1-9 morning line favorite in Santa Anita history, and she won by 2 lengths before a crowd of 37,000. Landa Lucy's next appearance was to be in the Hollywood Starlet, but she died the morning of the race, the result of a bacterial infection. She was laid to rest 2 weeks later on the Hollywood Park infield. On the day of Landa Lucy's burial, track announcer Alan Buckdahl said, "We will never know the heights she might have scaled, but we do know she will never be forgotten. She was our superstar." 3 weeks after she was buried, Landa Lucy was named the Clips Champion 2-year-old filly of 1982. Thoroughbred Racing Association's racing secretaries also voted for her for Horse of the Year, but Conquistador Cielo won the award on a split ballot. Many years later, Lucas was asked to reflect on Landa Lucy and her brief career. He commented that she was a filly with her sire's brilliance, and he added, "Every so often, racing gets a superstar, and Landa Lucy was certainly one." After the closing of Hollywood Park, Landa Lucy's remains were removed and transported to Kentucky, where she is now at rest at the farm where she was born. And we remember her on this Del Mar Debutante Day in honor of her victory in the Del Mar Debutante some 40 years ago. Please join me again next week when I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. For HRRN, I'm Kurt Becker.
And once again, my thanks to Kurt and to Keeneland for making those segments possible each and every week. If you have missed any of Kurt's Stroll Through Racing History segments, all you have to do is head back over to our website, horseracingradio.net. You can check out the special podcast page dedicated to those stories and listen to every single one. There have been some amazing ones. Go back and listen at horseracingradio.net. When I come back, Dale Romans, Tim Wilkin, they will be here. It is this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Horsemen, handicappers, and racing fans won't want to miss a single day of the 7-day FanDuel meet at Kentucky Downs in early September. Thanks to the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund, registered Kentucky breds will run for $150,000 in maiden races, with allowance races starting at $160,000. With 17 stakes totaling $10.7 million, you are not going to want to miss a day. Reserved seats on sale at KentuckyDowns.com. There's Unique, and then there's Kentucky Downs.
Achieve Equine, makers of Flare Equine nasal strips, brings you innovative, evidence-based products for the health and well-being of your equine athletes, like the new Impact Protection Half Pad from Europe, VIP Equestrian, that provides a superior layer of cushioning for the horse's back. Visit achieveequine.com for more information on the innovative products we offer. That's achieveequine.com. Breathe easy, we've got your back.
Millridge has a history of raising and selling racehorses, with 36 Grade 1 winners since 2000, including 2 Horse of the Years, a Kentucky Derby winner, and 7 Breeders' Cup winners. Spread throughout 5 books at the Keeneland September yearling sale, Millridge is offering a group of athletes by leading sires Uncle Mo, Into Mischief, and Curlin, as well as racehorse sires like Twirling Candy, Speightstown, and Constitution, plus yearlings by Oscar Performance, who has made a promising start with his 2-year-olds. Millridge, raising and selling racehorses.
The Royal Palm Meet is just heating up with summer thoroughbred racing at Gulfstream Park. Join us Friday through Sunday for heart-pounding racing excitement and delectable hospitality. Enjoy the races outdoors at our new Carousel Club, or cool off in a private suite, or our trackside restaurant, 10 Palms. For stake schedules, reservations, and ticketing, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
When it's time to paint the fences and barns, think Farm Paint. At Farm Paint, you get the industry's best coatings and paints factory direct at low, low prices. Farm Paint is your source for quality paints, roof coatings, dustless arena footings, and more. You can purchase online or drop into a Farm Paint store near you with locations in Heart of Bluegrass Country at 700 Phillips Lane in Lexington, Kentucky, Columbus, Ohio, and Sandusky, Ohio. Buy factory direct and save at farmpaint.com. That's farmpaint.com.
Hi, this is jockey Emma Jane Wilson, and you're listening to the Horse Racing Radio Network.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Let's see, a quarter of a mile to go in the Pacific Classic. Flavion Pratt and Flightline are an embarrassing lead. It must be 15 lengths as they turn for home now. And let's see, Flavion Pratt just shakes the reins at Flightline. And take a good look at this, because you're not going to see this too often, maybe never again. Flightline, 20 lengths clear. Flavion Pratt takes a hold and canters in the TVG Pacific Classic. Second place will go to Country Grammar. Then came Royal Ship, Express Train, Extra Hope, and Stiletto Boy.
What a way to begin this special 1-year anniversary edition of I Ask, They Answer. Last week, we debated whether Flightline might be vulnerable trying 2 turns and 1.25 miles for the first time. That question, it was answered emphatically with that 19.25 length tour de force in the Grade 1 Pacific Classic, setting him up to be an overwhelming favorite in the Breeders' Cup Classic on November 5th. But with only 3 starts this year, does Flightline deserve Horse of the Year consideration? Plus, which trainer, not named Brown or Pletcher, would you put your money on to win the Saratoga title next? And with the start of the NFL season this weekend, which champion is most likely to repeat their title again this year? Would it be Jackie's Warrior, or would it be the Los Angeles Rams? We'll discuss those topics and much, much more coming up on this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer with trainer Dale Romans and turf writer Tim Wilkin. And it is all presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program in the College of Business. And it starts just 30 seconds from right now.
Learn the business of horses in the world's only accredited equine business program, the University of Louisville Equine Business Program. The University of Louisville has a legacy of excellence educating and developing industry leaders for over 35 years. Classes are taught by industry experts in state-of-the-art facilities located in the heartland of America's equine industry. The University of Louisville Equine Business Program. When it comes to horses, we mean business. For more information, visit business.louisville.edu/equine.
Well, Tim and Dale, before we begin, I want to wish you both a very happy anniversary. 1 year that this show has been going on. And, man, I can't thank each of you enough for all your help and all your support and for being here every week. I know our listeners are loving it, and here's to the next 52, guys.
Sounds good to me. I know the over and under on me not getting kicked off was only 6 weeks, so we blew that away.
So does this mean we get a cake?
isn't the 1 year wedding anniversary is paper, right? So maybe I'll send you a note.
All right.
Oh.
I don't know.
Well, it's been a pleasure to do this. I mean, it's a novel idea, and it's the fact that the rapport that I have with Dale, I think is fantastic. And Mike, you do a great job putting these shows together.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and here's to the next 52. We can't wait to bring you more shows like this, and we appreciate all of our listeners who have made this among the most popular segments that we have on the network every week. So here we go, guys. Let's kick it off. Topic number 1, and we begin with the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. The UK's longest-running monarch passed away on Thursday at the age of 96. The Queen loved her horses, she loved the sport of thoroughbred racing, and she is going to be dearly missed by many in our industry. Spend just a few minutes reflecting on her legacy and her impact on our sport. And Dale, why don't you take it first?
Well, you know what? I always thought it was a great thing. She came here and gave a trophy at the Queen's, the race at Keeneland in her honor. And that, it always stay at Lane's Inn. Bill Ferris told me himself, he said she used to stay in his old bedroom when she would come to town. And there can't be a bigger supporter of horse racing in the world than Queen Elizabeth II.
The thing that was always, that the pictures that you would see of her when she was younger on horseback, and as she got older, just being around the horses, she had a keen eye for them, and she absolutely adored these animals. And you saw that when she would be at Royal Ascot. It was always something that she said she circled in her calendar every year, those 5 days at Royal Ascot. And, it became a prop bet for a lot of people, betting what color hat she'd be wearing when she came out with the Royal Entourage every day, coming from the castle down the stretch. It was a cool thing for a lot of people to watch. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun to watch that. And just seeing the pictures of her on social media now of her visits to a lot of the farms in Kentucky, it just showed you how much she loved this industry and this game. And, and she was a successful, she won a lot of races. It's not like she was just a fan. She was an owner. She did a great job with her stable. And it was always kind of cool when she had a horse running in New York that would, you'd see the Queen's colors. And it was, it's an end of an era. I mean, she had a great run at 96 years old. And, it's a sad day for everybody, a sad day for racing. And, to have an ambassador like her for the sport, I mean, you can't buy something like that. That was just something that we'll never see again.
Dale, if I'm not mistaken, go ahead, Dale.
That? I was going to say one good thing is, from what I hear, she's passed the love of the game on to now King Charles III, that he'll continue being an ambassador.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Dale, you mentioned the QE2, the race named the Queen Elizabeth II, named in her honor at Keeneland. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first time she came here to Kentucky was in 1984 for that particular event. And do you remember when she was here? I see pictures of jockeys talking to her, trainers talking to her, owners talking to her. Do you remember that day?
You know what I remember best is there used to be an old hot walker named Fry. And he'd always have a shirt that barely got to his belly button and a case of beer under his arm. And he was drunk and bet on the winner and yelling over into the winner's circle, "What do you think of me now, Queenie?" I remember that. I remember that like it was yesterday. Fry had his ticket, waving it at her. "What do you think of me now, Queenie?"
Did she acknowledge him?
No, no. She wisely did not acknowledge Fry. But that's something we still talk about on the backside all the time. The interaction between Fry and the Queen.
What a great story. Well, Queen Elizabeth II is going to be missed, not by the industry, but certainly by so many who loved her around the world. And we remember her on this Saturday morning. All right, topic number 2. And, guys, this comes from Eric in New Jersey, who submitted this question to us via email. He wants to know, as great as Flightline's performance was last Saturday, it was only his second start of 2022. He is now likely to get one more start in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and in Eric's opinion, a horse should never be voted Horse of the Year on a 3-race campaign. And he uses baseball as an example, saying that baseball hands out numerous yearly awards, and all of those have minimum at-bats or innings pitched requirements. So do you think that there should be a minimum start rule to get an Eclipse Award? Dale?
No, I don't think so. I think it's hard to win an Eclipse Award without accumulating a major body of work. So if you can do it in 3 races, that means your 3 races were pretty darn impressive, which all these have been. And if this horse goes on and wins the Breeders' Cup Classic, he's beaten all the best horses. If it gets to that point, he's beaten the Saudi Cup winner. He's beaten if it goes to that point, he's beaten the Dubai World Cup winner. He deserves all the accolades he can get. This is one heck of a racehorse.
You know, the thing about the guy that submits this question, I don't think you can compare baseball. Baseball plays 162 games. I mean, it's that's they're playing every day. Horses don't run every day. I think you throw that argument out comparing it to baseball. As far as 3 starts, can he be Horse of the Year? Yeah, he can be Horse of the Year. I was looking at some of the Horses of the Year in the past, and when Ghost Zapper won, he only had 4 starts of the year. If you're a dominant in your field, which obviously Flightline is, and if he goes off and does something ridiculous in the Breeders' Cup Classic, there's no way you can't give him Horse of the Year. I mean, he would have beaten everybody that would have had a chance to be Horse of the Year, in my opinion. So, as long as if Flightline keeps doing, if he does what he's been doing in the Breeders' Cup Classic, there's absolutely zero chance that he won't be Horse of the Year, and it should be unanimous.
Yeah, Bobby Newman, who is a host of some of our shows here on the network, pointed out to me that all along won Horse of the Year in 1983 with only 3 North American starts, but she ran 3 times in Europe that year as well. So she had 6 starts total in that Horse of the Year campaign, but 3 of those here in the United States. I guess that's the big argument, though. Do you feel like 3 starts is enough? And as Dale pointed out, and Timmy, you said it too, if Flightline does win the Breeders' Cup Classic and beat what is considered to be the best horses in the country and maybe even in the world, then it's hard not to give it to him, right?
I mean, it's quality over quantity, right? I mean, what he did in the Pacific Classic, it's not like he beat a bunch of tomato cans. I mean, he beat some darn good horses in that race, and he's going to face some darn good horses in the Classic. And do I think he's going to win the Classic by 19 lengths? No, but I didn't think he was going to win the Pacific Classic by 19 lengths either. This horse just might be one of those ones that we've been waiting to see come along our whole lifetimes, and maybe he's here right now.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about Flightline in a later segment here on the program, but I want to move on to the next topic because I think this one deserves some attention too. Irad Ortiz and Chad Brown walked away with the leading jockey and trainer titles respectively at Saratoga this year. Since 2015, with the exception of Luis Saez last year, the meet's leading jockey has been either Irad or Jose Ortiz. On the other side, the trainer side, you have to go back to 2009 to find the last leading trainer not named Brown or Pletcher. So, Tim, I'll start with you. Which jockey will be the next to derail the Ortiz brothers at Saratoga?
Well, if you just go by what happened this year, you'd have to say Flavien Prat has to have more than a puncher's chance to do it. I mean, his first meet at Saratoga, he had 40 winners. He had about almost 100 bounce less than Irad did. I mean, and Flavien Prat's he's proven he's one of the best jockeys in the country. If he decides to stay in this circuit, I think he'll be a threat to the Irad and Jose. But Luis Saez too. I mean, you can't count him out. I mean, he won it last year, and he had a pretty good meet this year. He had 40 winners. And Joel Rosario. I mean, he's a quality rider. I don't know if he's got enough to win the whole thing, but he's going to be in the mix. I would think that those guys would be the main competitors, the main competition for the Ortiz brothers. But if I was going to put some money on it, I would put my money on Flavien Prat for next year if he comes back, which I would think he would.
I mean, they're all great riders. So we talked about it up there. I've never seen a jock swim as deep as it was at Saratoga. If you couldn't find a good rider, you didn't belong in the race. But I'm going to go outside the box a little bit and tell you a couple of guys I thought really rode well this meet was Junior Alvarado. I mean, you could see him getting hooked up with, one of these bigger stables riding him more, which I hear is going to happen in the future, and see him being a leading rider up there. You could, I'd tell you, Jose Gomez for a Bug Boy to win 10 races, which I think he won 8 or 10 races at Saratoga, which is kind of unheard of. I think he's going to give him 3 or 4 more years under the tutelage of Angel Cordero and see what he can do. But it's the jockey colony in New York is so deep, it could be any of 10 that could jump up and get on a roll.
Yep. Yeah. How about on the trainer side, Dale? Which trainer is most likely to be the next to bump Chad or Todd from their top spot?
It wouldn't surprise me if Bill Mott came back and won a couple more titles before his career's over. I mean, he was winning a lot of titles before Todd kind of knocked him off the top spot, and he's always liable to explode with the big numbers at any time if one of them stubs their toes. He's just a model of consistency.
The thing about Chad and Todd is that they just have more horses than anybody else. Chad was just shy of 200 starters this year. Todd was about 159, 160. Then there was only 3 other trainers that had over 100 starts. Billy Mott being one of them, Mike Maker and Christophe Clement. I mean, if you're going to make this into a betting angle, I think it's Todd or Chad for the next 10 years. That's what I think. Until someone can prove me wrong on that, those guys have all the horses. They're going to win most of the races. That's just the way it's been.
Yeah,
and it probably will continue to be so.
Dale, the total number of titles for Bill Mott at Saratoga, 9.
Right. Yeah, there's another one out there for him.
Yeah, pretty impressive. We'll see if he can find a way to do it. But, boy, Chad and Todd, just because of those numbers, they look like they're going to be really, really tough for years to come. All right, well, I have decided that I really enjoy having our friend Nick Zito as part of this program each week. And considering this is the 1-year anniversary show, I couldn't bump Nick from the program. We're going to make him a permanent part of the show, and this is going to be a weekly feature as we once again play a couple rounds of right or wrong.
Yeah, right or wrong. Am I right? What do you think? Right or wrong?
Thanks, Nikki. All right, I'm going to present each of you with a couple of statements. You will tell me if you feel those statements are right or wrong. Dale, I'll start with you first. Flightline is the greatest horse since Secretariat.
I'd say wrong. I'd say it's the greatest horse since Man of War. I'm a huge fan. I have to go past Secretariat. I know I'll make a lot of people mad in saying that, but I think what he did the other day has not been done. I know the 30-something links in Belmont were spectacular with Secretariat, but you got to look at who it's running against. There's a big difference in the horses behind him and the horses were behind Flightline.
Well, I'm going to say wrong. I love Flightline. I think he's an awesome individual horse, and what he's done in this short career has been nothing short of phenomenal. But I just want to see some more. I got to see more. I know he's won the 19-length win was, off the charts, and there's the Met Mile when he had the bad start, but he still won easily, but drew off. But I mean, I'm not ready to put him in the same breath as a horse like Spectacular Bid yet. I mean, I thought Spectacular Bid was just phenomenal, and talking horses since Secretariat. I mean, Seattle Slew was phenomenal. I mean, Zenyatta was phenomenal. I mean, it's we're never going to be able to obviously see these horses line up together, but if they had an all-star race and put all these together, would Flightline beat all of these horses? I'm not so sure.
All right, number 2.
Man of War.
Yeah, Dale says Man of War, the greatest since Man of War. He thinks that much of Flightline, and no doubt we'll get a chance to see him in the Bluegrass if everything stays on track for the Breeders' Cup Classic. All right, the second topic for right or wrong. Today marks the 1-year anniversary of I Ask They Answer. As I mentioned a short time ago, we have been subjecting our listeners to this segment for 52 weeks, guys. Dale remembering to answer his phone for all 52 weeks is the true highlight of year number 1.
Yeah, right or wrong? Am I right?
What do you think, Dale?
Absolutely right. And I think was a little late one time is all, being on prompt on time. And not being kicked off the air. I mean, I know it helps that we're on satellite. But, yeah, all those things are right. I'll agree with Nick on that one.
Timmy?
Well, I think there were a few times when we were wondering if Dale had not set the alarm clock because it took a while for us to find you, or Lee, the producer, to find you. I mean, we got you, but there were a few times when I was thinking you might not make it under the buzzer.
Well, y'all don't live as much fun life as I do. I'm always doing something. But I'd love to take my 30 minutes a week out to talk with y'all.
Well, it's not like we're slugs, though. I mean, we do stuff, too.
Right.
I mean, it's
not in the middle of the afternoon.
Well, maybe that's true, too.
That's right, too. It's a whole different level there.
You may be the king of the afternoons, Dale. I'll give you that.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to keep that right or wrong segment. We'll have a couple topics every week that our friend Nick Zito will help us with. We're going to bring Nick onto this program, too, as a guest with the two of you very, very soon. Looking forward to that. All right, we're down to about the final couple of minutes, so I'm going to make this very quick. The NFL season kicked off Thursday night. Of course, the Buffalo Bills defeated the defending champion Rams quite soundly. Who is more likely to defend their title and win a championship again this year, Jackie's Warrior or the Los Angeles Rams? What do you think, guys? Timmy, take it first.
Well, I'll go Jackie's Warrior. I mean, because even though he hasn't had great success in the Breeders' Cup, there hasn't been a back-to-back winner of the Super Bowl since 2004 when the New England Patriots did it. I'm going Jackie's Warrior.
Easy call here, Jackie's Warrior. Both of them coming off defeats, by the way. The Rams and Jackie's Warrior.
That's right.
But if one of them's going to be a champion, it'll be Jackie. I'm predicting he just blitzes wherever he runs in the Breeders' Cup, whether it be the mile or the sprint. He wins easy, and is champion sprinter again.
And you know Steve's going to have him really cranked up to win this one because it's his last start, and he wants to see him go out on top.
Well, he ran him back quick at Saratoga. Saratoga, graveyard champion. He's going to Keeneland. It's a pretty truthful form racetrack. And he's the best sprinter in the country. So he's going to win the Breeders' Cup and be champion sprinter.
All right, one final segment. It is the West Point of the Week, where I give Dale and Tim the opportunity to make one final point before we wrap up the show. You can experience the lifestyle of thoroughbred racehorse ownership with the gold standard in racing partnerships for over 30 years. It is West Point Thoroughbreds. All you have to do is text HORSE to 66866 to learn about ownership. It's pretty easy. HORSE to 66866 to learn about ownership with West Point Thoroughbreds, the gold standard in racing partnerships. Message and data rates may apply. Tim, kick it off first. What is your West Point of the Week?
My West Point of the Week is I am here at Kentucky Downs. It's a fabulous, fabulous venue. I'm glad I'm here. I'm working publicity with Jenny Reese. And if anybody doesn't come down here, they're insane because it's great racing. And the pulled chicken is just phenomenal. And actually, so is the mac and cheese. So if you come down here, make sure you grab some of that because it is great.
Yeah, you're really missing out on something if you have an opportunity to go and you don't to Kentucky Downs. So my West Point of the Week is Chad Brown's leading trainer of the meet. Again, it's the leading horseman of the meet at Saratoga this year, in my opinion, by far, is the 87-year-old Wayne Lucas, winning 7 races and doing it in style, buying young horses at the sale, and just keep on living.
And bringing kids into the winner's circle with him.
Yes, he did. He does it all. He's a great man, the greatest man in the game.
Love
Been
it.
doing that for 30 years.
Yep. Dale Romans, Tim Wilkin. This is I Ask, They Answer. Guys, as always, we'll do it all over again next week as we begin season number 2 of this show. It's been a great first year. Thanks for everything, guys. We'll talk again next week.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, Dale Romans, Tim Wilkin, I Ask, They Answer, presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program in the College of Business. If you have a question or a topic you want to hear Dale and Tim debate, simply email it to me, mike@horseracingradio.net, and I'll do my best to work it in. We appreciate Eric in New Jersey doing that here this week. I'm back with more. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
70 organizations, 160 facilities, 7,800 horses, 1 accreditation. The Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance is the only accrediting body in thoroughbred aftercare and is supported by all aspects of the thoroughbred industry. To learn more or to support the TAA, visit thoroughbredaftercare.org.
In honor of all those we've lost to cancer and those still fighting and thriving, like basketball analyst and cancer champion Dick Vitale.
I want to beat cancer. I'm going to beat it. That's no doubt in my mind. I'm going to win this battle.
Defeating cancer will take all of us. Join our team to help fund game-changing research that saves lives. At the V Foundation, V is for victory over cancer. V is for victory over the odds. V is for victory over health disparities, victory over setbacks, victory over the unknown. V is for victory over giving up.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Donate to the V Foundation to join our team and help save lives.
Cancer can take away all my physical abilities. It cannot touch my mind, it cannot touch my heart, and it cannot touch my soul.
100% of donations fund game-changing cancer research. Donate now to the V Foundation at v.org.
We gather together in communities across the nation to remember and honor, to celebrate and support, to light the night. Join us as we lift our lanterns high in order to move toward a world free of blood cancers. Join us as we light the night for a loved one. Join us. We are the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Our mission is to cure leukemia, lymphoma, Hodgkin's disease, and myeloma. Our aim is to improve the quality of life of patients and their families. Join us. We are LLS, and when we walk, cancer runs. Join your community and help bring light to the darkness of cancer. Join us as we light the night. Find your local event at lightthenight.org. That's lightthenight.org.
Trainer Talk, presented by Fasig-Tipton.
Please join me in welcoming Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher.
Hall of Fame trainer Nick Zito on Trainer Talk. Welcome Hall of Famer Bob Baffert to the program. Hall of Fame trainer Shug McGahee, nice enough to spend some time with us. Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott here on Trainer Talk. Dual Hall of Fame trainer Mark Cassie.
Trainer Talk, the biggest names in horse racing. Wednesdays, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern on Sirius 216, XM 204, and streaming live at horseracingradio.net.
Hi, my name is Alan Garcia. My name is Paco Lopez. This is Jose Lescano.
This is jockey Emma Jane Wilson, and you're listening to the Horse Racing Radio Network.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Well, you know, her workouts were really good. She started going through a growth spurt late in the spring, and she's just really shot up in every direction, and all in a positive way. And you know, her works again going into this race. At 59-3. I mean, this is at Saratoga, where really good horses work, and even her 59-3. You know, it's just listed as a breeze because she was pretty much within herself the whole way. Obviously she could have gone faster. She was really doing well and looks good. And, you also have to consider with these 2-year-old races, half this field, 5 out of these 10 horses that were entered had only one race under their belt, I believe. And, so are you taking a shot? Yeah, but, she ran great her first time out. Her numbers were good. And, you got to go for these things while you can.
That's trainer Phil Serpe talking about Leave No Trace, the 2-year-old filly who won the Grade 1 Spinaway at Saratoga last weekend. His first graded stakes victory in 29 years. You have to go all the way back to the 1993 Vosburg and Bird on the Wire to find the last Grade 1 victory for Phil Serpe, and that one felt pretty good for him. His first Grade 1 at Saratoga as well. Leave No Trace certainly looked the part of a horse that wants to go further. We'll see if that's the case in her next start. But if you want to hear my entire 1-hour conversation with Phil Serpe, it's posted right now on our website, horseracingradio.net. He joined me on Trainer Talk, presented by Fasig-Tipton, this past Wednesday, and it was a lot of fun to visit with him and look back on his career and talk about that performance by Leave No Trace. Well, you're on our website. Also, make sure you check out the Brisnet.com call-in show and our Weekend Stakes preview taking a look at the races coming up this weekend. All of that is posted right now on our site and every major podcast platform. Don't forget, too, that your Blood Horse Magazine subscription now also includes a free Blood Horse Plus membership. Blood Horse Plus provides exclusive content, including a daily detailed stakes winner section, Fox Sports and Blood Horse branded weekly programs which showcase thoroughbred racing's upcoming races and recapping recent stakes races. You can subscribe now to Blood Horse Magazine and tablet and enjoy a free Blood Horse Plus membership. That's a $50 value by going to bloodhorse.com/subscribe. How fun was that segment with Dale and Tim this morning? It's always fun to catch up with them. But, yeah, some great stuff there, some great comments, and I loved some of their things that they said remembering Queen Elizabeth II. Again, that'll be posted as a podcast on our website later, too. This whole show is going to be posted as a podcast. So if you missed any of our conversation talking about Canterbury Park and that great handicapping contest, talking about the racing at Del Mar and Kentucky Downs and Pimlico, it's a big week of racing coast to coast. And you think, okay, here's a weekend with just the closing weekend at Del Mar. Saratoga is done. It's going to be a bit of a down weekend. It is not. That closing weekend at Del Mar, fantastic. And Scott Shapiro gave a shout out to the racing team in the racing office out there at Del Mar. They did a great job this whole meet. Big fields, quality racing. Fantastic. Kudos to them, and kudos to everybody at Saratoga for doing a great job there as well. The summer racing season might be coming to a close, but there is plenty more action yet to come as we make our way down the road to the Breeders' Cup. You can see our Breeders' Cup week broadcast schedule at horseracingradio.net. My thanks to all of our guests for being with me here this morning, to all of you for tuning in and weighing in on the poll question, to my producer Lee Delapina in our Lexington studio, and to Chauncey for handling all of our social media. I'm Mike Penna. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires. Talk to you next week. And in the meantime, opening day, tomorrow, bring on the bungles. Who day? We day. Go Steelers.